Yo, 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 yo. What's up, everybody? Welcome to 3 Beats Later. 3 Beats Later. How's everybody doing? Huh?
In the building.
Can't complain.
How about those Rams out there?
Yeah.
Man.
No
I mean,
one
shout out
cheers for the Rams?
to the Rams, shout out to them.
Shout out to Matt Stafford.
Shout out. I'm more excited about the 2022 season starting now. That's what I'm more excited about. Let's go Bills Mafia.
Let's go Bills.
Are you really? Are you serious?
Yeah. Hey, wait. Bills
Yeah.
are favored. They're like, I think they're favored number 2.
Wait,
to
wait,
actually-
Favorite for what?
whoa.
For
Listen.
next year's Super Bowl.
First of all,
Yo,
let me
watch.
explain something to you. Let me listen. I'm not supposed to be Bills hater during the season. Season's over. It's the week of the Super Bowl. We're not gonna say go Bills. We're gonna represent the teams that just played. All right.
No,
They-
the
I said-
next season starts today.
Yeah, next
I'm
season,
more
yeah.
excited about the next season.
Yeah.
Everybody on this.
Well, here we go. I'm gonna second that. P, go Bills. We got a special guest. I'm very curious to understand once we bring our guest up on the stage, what Vortex actually roots for, if he roots for any football. So we'll be interested to learn that. And we also have another green
Right. He
jacket
slid in.
wearing-
He slid in quietly, real quick.
He
Church
came out
finger.
the shadow.
He came in with the church finger. That's how he got the name. He was late. He was like the finger.
The goat.
All right.
Nah, I've been here. What y'all talking about?
Oh,
he was in the back. You didn't see him.
All right, we got a couple
Shadows.
quick business things to talk about. And I'm just going to go through it really, really quick. First is, if you don't know by now, you need to get over to the number 3beatslater.com. And the reason you need to do that is because we got some merch for sale. So if you get to the website, you look down and there's our store. We actually have a couple of new products, a new hat. But the cool thing is this product here, you get to pick the beat challenge. So if you're new to 3 Beats Later, every single week we get together, we challenge ourselves to create a new piece of music. Usually this is built around a specific theme. Sometimes we spin a wheel and it will tell us who we have to sample or what type of music we have to make. But you, the watcher, can actually go on to the number 3beatslater.com, get to our store, and you can support the show by making this donation, and then you can choose the challenges by emailing us what you'd like to see in the future. So we do actually have someone who purchased this recently, and in 2 weeks we're going to have that person's challenge. It's going to be pretty crazy. So that's going to be an exciting show. And then in terms of future shows, next Monday, we're back on Mondays. Next Monday, we have special guest Excalibur Zero. And Excalibur is a producer who is very much involved in the sync licensing world. As you know, we are very much interested in everything that they're dealing with sync licensing and ultimately getting your beats out there onto television and film and all that good stuff. And about 2 weeks ago, we had a guest on who was a music supervisor. The music supervisor is the person who actually is going to choose which songs get placed on a specific television show. And now our next guest, Excalibur, he's the one who's kind of actually getting his music placed. And he has a lot of gems on his Instagram page. So go check him out on Instagram. Just a lot of what you should know, when you're basically first starting off in music licensing. So he's going to come on, he's going to educate us and then tell us a little bit more behind the scenes on what it takes to get your music on there. And he gave us a really special challenge for next week, which is it's kind of cool. It's kind of funny. So yeah, that's our next guest. But we're going to transition over and let you know about our current guest who is here. He's about to come out of the shadows. We are joined by none other than Vortex from Mobile Music Pro. Woo!
Hey.
Come out of the shadows.
Come out of the shadows,
No.
Vortex.
Honored to be here.
How you feeling, man? How's it going?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I really really been enjoying your podcast, man. I just can't thank you enough for the opportunity to be here. All you guys, all you guys kill it every time, every week. So I'm really stoked to be here. Want to talk about music, want to talk about Bitcoin, all sorts of good stuff, man. I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, normally Vortex is in the chat too. So now we have to actually look in the chat and see if there's anyone else there. So everyone,
I'm in there
keep an eye
too.
out.
I don't. I'm in there. It's just so if you guys want to chat, I'm in there too. Let's go.
Right.
I'm there.
All right. So let's start off with kind of how we came across some of your content. So in our world, 3 Beats Later kind of started at about June, really like the beginning of 2020, and we started broadcasting live in June. And there's just tons of great music producers out there, people creating content, and every week at least one of us would be watching Marcus Albo's broadcast, right? Some of his beat challenges. And I think that's originally where maybe I saw just some of your comments in the chat and stuff like that. And then I started seeing some of your videos and all the discussions that you had. And, I just kind of like started watching all your videos and all that good stuff. That's kind of how I came across your content. But can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your history in your career and making music and how you got into music, all that good 101 Vortex stuff? Who is Vortex? Let us know.
Sure, man. I'll make it quick too, because we got so much stuff to get through. But yeah, basically, I kind of came to music the long way around. Essentially, I'm basically a third generation musician, so I played keyboard and such when I was young, and then my grandfather actually played the guitar and sung, and then my dad plays the guitar and sings. So I don't sing, but I definitely got into playing the keyboard and stuff when I was younger. But really, what kind of overtook my life there at that time was technology, and so I'm a super big geek in that way. And I got into software development and graphic design. So that's actually what I spent my career on the last 15 plus years, basically. I'll be 39 this year. So getting up there, but I spent the last 15 plus years doing software development and graphic design. And I was able to retire from that in 2019, and then basically start to fulfill my dream of actually doing something in the music space, either creating a company or just doing something, because I've always wanted to do something with music. So I found that opportunity, and that's when I started that. But basically, I came to music again, kind of the long about way. I always thought that you need some kind of crazy big Star Trek studio to make music, and I thought that was the only way to do it. Like you need, we all seen the pictures of the studios with racks and racks of hardware and such, and so I thought that's what you needed. And then come Christmas 2012 or early 2013, I got an iPad mini to check out the video games that were available on there. And I found a synthesizer app, and I downloaded that, and I was just blown away. It was definitely a very awakening moment for me, for sure, because I found that right there, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like literally an actual synthesizer right in front of me with sounds and all and presets. And just I know a few years ago I heard all these stories from people that they saved up years to be able to afford one of these, and just a few years ago there were thousands of dollars, and to be able to have that right in front of me, it was a very visceral experience, and instantly took me back to my childhood. When my dad was just when I was just sitting on my dad's lap and he was playing guitar for me. Like it really brought back that experience of the very pureness of what music is, just that very pure feeling, which basically just feeling. That's really what music is, that pure feeling. And so I found that and got very, very attached. And from then on, the rest is pretty much history. I started learning about music production, started educating myself, started taking courses, started downloading more and more apps, even to the point to where I was just downloading synthesizers and just going through presets just to figure out what a pluck was, what does a lead mean, and all these things. Like I learning the lingo and everything. I know I was just hooked. I was hooked. So that's where my actual music production stuff began, is 2013 or so. And I've been doing that ever since. And again, was so passionate about it that I knew that when I got the opportunity, that's what the specific part of music that I wanted to dive into was mobile music production, and educating the world and letting the world know that it is possible now to literally make music on your phone. It's just unbelievable, because I know there's so many people out there that want nothing more than to just make music, not even just for a living, but just literally to be able to do it, to be able to have that experience. And they have no idea that GarageBand exists on the iPhone. They have no idea. And so there's just, our community, as you guys know, is pretty small right now, but it is growing year over year over year. They're selling more and more iPads, and then they just put the M1 in the iPad. So the future is very bright, but there's a long way to go. And I'm just trying to help us get there, and let the world know that music production is possible for literally anybody now.
spreading gospel, and that's why we wanted to bring you on, basically, to just give us that whole picture of who you are, but also the landscape too. And actually, I think, we talked about this really quickly before we went live. My experience with an iPad specifically was similar. I had a background in beat making back in like 2002, 2003. With a big chunky desktop computer, trying to
The big old monitors.
the big old monitor, using Reason, and like using the, trying to connect the in and outs in the back and not knowing what the hell I was doing. And then I spent a little bit of time in school for music, and then I kind of transitioned way more to performance, right? I was playing music in bands for quite some time. And then, fast forward to 2013, I think I had like an iPad 2, like I won it through work. And I had Beatmaker 2 on it.
Very
And
nice.
it wasn't like, I felt like it was cool. I just never mastered it. And then I always kept it for sketches. And then in 2019, I bought one for things like on Black Friday. I bought like a newer version of I think the iPad at the time. I don't know what version it was or whatever. And I downloaded Beatmaker 3, and talk about like a visceral reaction. I was sitting
Magical.
there, I'm like the shit that I used to sit there and try to sequence out using Reason, roll, was like, would take hours, you know what I mean? And now I'm able to just sit down and with my fingers like zoom in, zoom out at it, boop, 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 and I'm doing things that would honestly, like back in the day, you're taking, a year out of your life to try to do something using Reason back in the day. So my experience about, coming to the iPad and kind of like getting reintroduced to just making music digitally and also beat making happened around 2019. And it was crazy. Like all those feelings came back. You know what I mean? I used to work with some of these guys here back in the day, making beats together, making music together. And that's kind of how we linked up around that time too. Kind of getting back into it, dusting off the old beat making slacks. I don't even know what to say. Okay.
Yes,
so,
sir.
So let us know about Mobile Music Pro. I want to get to your website too, so you could just let us know about everything you got going on, because there's a live stream every Wednesday where you're making music. You're releasing packs. How did Mobile Music Pro come into existence?
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot going on with Mobile Music Pro. But basically, let me just, I guess, quickly think how I started it. So basically, I was watching music production. Remember, I told you I was just really, really studying for years there, YouTube videos and things like that. And I came across a bunch of people like BusyWorks Beats and Cymatics and Larry O and a bunch of these great music production YouTubers like Curtis King and things like that. And they all had courses and sample packs. And so that was really inspiring. And so what after years of looking at their videos and being an education person myself, I've always been really into education. I'm like, what could I actually do in the music space? What could I actually contribute? Because obviously I have no credits or anything like that. And I just started learning how to produce in 2013. So, it still had been years, at that point, but it's still, still very early. As you know, you never pretty much stop learning in music production. And so I'm like, what could I contribute? Well, I figured that the world doesn't, again, know about the iPad yet. So I figured I could create a company that could maybe combine BusyWorks Beats, the education of BusyWorks Beats, with the sound design company of Cymatics, sound design / sample pack label of Cymatics, and maybe combine that, but and specifically target the mobile music space. And maybe ride the wave of the iPad's popularity as it gets more and more and more popular and things like that. So that was the idea behind it, to be able to educate people on mobile music production. And so that is where the idea kind of came around, to be able to smash those ideas together. And so fall of 2019, that's when I started Mobile Music Pro. And so it basically, the actual definition of it is basically a YouTube channel that's dedicated to creating resources and information for mobile music producers. So we just want to do as much as we can for producers. We're out here to serve producers. So everything that we do is for that. So you're going to find sample packs on the website. I'm currently working on some courses for Cubasis. We're going to have presets as well and templates for Cubasis coming up very shortly. So being able to just jumpstart someone right into mobile music production is really about what Mobile Music Pro is about. So we have a free guide as well for Cubasis. So we're as you can tell, we're probably focused mostly on Cubasis, because that's kind of the DAW that I believe is really going to be able to be there in the long run, be there for years, because it's backed up by Steinberg, one of the largest companies out there. So kind of went with the channel, kind of went all in with Cubasis. And so that's what we're doing. Templates, presets, sample packs, guides, and courses, and more. And that's what we're going to be doing over the next foreseeable future. And right now, we've just recently started doing a blog post as well, doing a blog, and kind of fleshing out some of the content in our videos into blog posts, long form blog posts, so people can be able to read that if they don't have the time to watch the whole video. And we just released that. There you go. That latest article there, ultimate list of songwriting shortcut apps. And this again goes back to just educating people about what's possible now with technology, the ability to just be able to create chords and melodies super easy, and then have AI help you out in addition to that. So definitely recommend checking out our blog. We have a lot of posts about that to help people get started. But we really are living in a pretty amazing time. But what Mobile Music Pro is focused on right now, in the short term here, is we have a brand new sample pack coming up, a brand new completely free sample pack and contest. And so we release, if you go to the contest page, we release contests. We do contests a few times a year. This is going to be our 6th contest and the biggest one we've had yet, because we have over $500 worth of prizes up for grabs for this particular contest, with the first prize there being $250. So we're going to be releasing this free Essentials Modern Metal sample pack, and then the contest on March 2nd. So you'll be able to have the opportunity to use this free pack to create a track and get yourself heard. And because we display all the winners and all the honorable mentions on the website on our contest page forever, so people can be able to see your that you won this contest forever. So it's pretty great bragging rights and gets the word out about you and your productions. And so again, the whole idea is to help people make music. So we think that this contest really help invigorate and incentivize producers to really get off their butt and start making some music, because this is what it's all about, is music education.
And I gotta say, I love this this verse here. This should be obvious, but the song must be an entirely original composition, and we'd prefer you do not recreate the demo song.
Yeah, because for every one of our packs, we actually have a demo song. That's how the pack gets created, is we create music and then we break that down into the pack. And so a lot of people just, in the early days, they literally just started submitting basically the equivalent of the demo song. They would just drag and drop the loop, drag and drop the drum, drag and drop the melody, and send it off.
There you go.
And it's like
beautiful.
I'm
everything just fits together. Didn't take a lot of time.
Exactly.
A Vortex. I've entered probably hundreds of contests, and I've never seen that rule before.
I love it, man.
That's a great rule.
That's hilarious.
I thought it'd be pretty funny because just to make it really nice and obvious that what we're trying to do here is create original music. So you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Hilarious.
But yeah, people, the amount of songs that we have been submitted is so awesome, because we don't define a specific genre. So people take our packs, like this metal pack. You'll see later, I made a trap metal beat out of it. You can make anything that you want with any kind of music if you know what you're doing. So the amount of the variety of music that gets submitted to these contests is just fascinating, and everything from rock to hip hop to jazz to everything you can think of. And it's been really, really great seeing the community work really hard and put their whole heart into these songs, and you can hear it in the tracks for sure.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. So, hey, everybody out there, if you're not following Mobile Music Pro, make sure you do on YouTube and go to the website, download the free sample pack, enter this contest. It starts March 2nd.
Yep, that's when the pack will be available, is March 2nd. So you'll be able to download it on March 2nd, and then you'll have March 2nd through the 22nd, you'll have to be able to submit your track.
And I got to say, to the blogs, I mean, I made a comment today about this, and this is kind of what we're going to talk about when we share music today, is the shortcuts for songwriting. I mean, my beat I made was through the Bliss Groovebox, right?
Yes.
But I'm always looking for easy ways just to kind of get ideas out there, right? It's like, that's kind of how I view my iPad and my phone, is like, this is a sketchbook, right? I'm recording or beatboxing into the the recording message notes or whatever, at least daily, right? So this is just super dope that you compile all this stuff, because through this a lot. Auto chords, all this here.
And actually shared this post on the audio bus forum, and some people came back with some additional apps. So I actually have to update the post too. I'm going to have a few more apps on there, thanks to the community's feedback.
That's awesome. All right. So here we go, man. I want to know a little bit about this whole ecosystem, because I've been looking at your videos that have all of the roundtable discussions, and you're actually bringing the developers into your YouTube channel and kind of like talking about the whole ecosystem. And you kind of you explain like you have like a previous history, coming up in crypto and stuff like that. Since when did you kind of start in the whole crypto world? 2012.
Yep. 2012, 2013. About the same time actually as mobile music production. It's when I right around the same time I found Bitcoin and the synthesizer on the iPad. It's kind of funny.
So you've seen, crypto kind of go from like infancy to being a little bit more mature. Do you see that same parallel, I guess you could say, with like the mobile music ecosystem? You're talking to these developers. Like where are we right now with mobile music? Like most people I know are still on a DAW. You know what I mean? And then there's I see the huge following that Koala has, and that whole community is pretty big with just like everybody sharing their Koala beats. And then past Koala, I mean, people tell me that they use a GarageBand on their iPad. What do you say like the state of the whole ecosystem is right now? Are we in the mobile music infancy? Where are we at right now?
Yeah, sure. Great questions. I mean, there is a lot of parallels from the early Bitcoin community to this mobile music production community right now, because it is early days, really, really still early days. It's only been about 10 years since, the iPad kind of came out. So it's very, very early days, and there's a lot of similarities, and it's actually kind of refreshing. That's part of the reason why I left the crypto space too, as well in 2019, because when I retired, I also left the crypto space. And, it's a very, it was very strange to see your little community just suddenly start being referenced everywhere, on Family Guy, on television shows, on everything. The first time I heard Bitcoin come out of somebody's mouth on Parks and Rec, that was pretty crazy. Like I said, I'll just PayPal you some Bitcoins, and I definitely jumped out of my seat when I heard that the first time. So it was very, very strange, because we went back from just getting super excited when a Yahoo article posted about Bitcoin. Like, this was before there was tickers. Now Bitcoin, the ticker is on every financial and news site on the planet. But when there was just an article on Yahoo, like the whole community just went crazy, on Twitter and on the forums. And so when I see, I saw a little bit of a similar thing, like when Apple showed that just 1 second clip of GarageBand in their recent conference. They show just like, they're showing off all these iPads and iPad mini, and it showed a guy on an escalator in GarageBand, and just for that 1 second, I'm like, oh, there it is. And there it is. So it kind of reminded me of that, and I'm sure Apple will push GarageBand much more, on the mobile devices in the future. They're very serious about the iPad, of course, with that introducing the M1 into there. So
Right.
I like to maybe just kind of talk about like where we kind of where we've come from. So then I can tell you kind of where we are. So basically, like I said, the iPad is only about 10 years old, and we only got the AUV3 standard in 2016. So, and that only really started being utilized in 2018. So you really can kind of think of that it's only really been around since 2018. And that's, of course, the standard that mirrors the VST and AU standard on the desktop to be able to have these plugins inside of a DAW. And so basically, we got a few things over the past few years, and I have an article on this as well that you can check out on the blog, on the website. But there was a few things that happened that allowed to be where we are today. And one of those things is iPad OS. So iPad OS or iOS 13 came along, and that gave us a bunch of things. That gave us the ability to have keyboard and mouse support. That gave us the ability to have a actual desktop browser. That gave us the ability to have a file system, most importantly, a file system. And so now you can start using external file storage really simply, just plug it into the iPad. And then you can also use an external monitor, which was really great. So that was part of the thing that came along. But then, of course, Cubasis came along, this professional, pretty close to professional DAW. Cubasis 3 allowed for a bunch of things, a bunch of important things. Again, like Ableton Link and grouping of tracks, a master track, a mastering plugin, just so many different things. Actually, we're talking about multi-core support as well. That came along, very important. So these things year after year just kept improving and kept improving. So we got mouse and keyboard, we got a DAW, we got files, and we got the AUV3 standard. So now where we are now is, now that we have these building blocks that really were only built in the last few years, now we can actually start to build upon that. And so the next 10 years, this decade, I believe, is going to be very, very, very interesting, because by the end of the decade, I believe that we'll be very, very on par with the desktop, if not surpassing it, because they're going to continue to put these desktop chips into the iPad devices. And so they're going to continue to get faster and faster every year. So we had the M1, but now they're already talking about the M1 Max, the M1 Pro, and then the M2 eventually. So just crazy speeds are going to continue to get faster and faster. So when the ecosystem can expect that, we know then that there's going to be more developers, more people, more apps, more people using these apps, and it's just going to keep growing and growing exponentially on itself.
Yeah.
It's really early though. I just want to say it's really early still.
I say that's kind of what brought me to get into Logic, actually, is I was on Beatmaker 3, and once I added like that 7th track, and then I threw on the compressor, the delay, and whatever, you know what I mean? And then as soon as I started hearing some kind of like clipping or whatever it was, I kind of hit an issue where I realized, like, okay, maybe I can't have 15 tracks and 15 compressors and 15 delays and all that good stuff. And then I was like, I kind of came to a fork in the road. And I'm like, I just bought this, not knowing that I was going to get this heavily, deep into music production. I did not get the Pro. I just got the regular iPad, right? So that was my mistake. And then I was like, you know what? And I just jumped, and I'm like, I'm just going to get an Apple laptop. And then I got into Logic, hashtag Logic Gang, Logic Gang, Logic Gang.
Pow, pow.
Okay. And then like, that's kind of where I diverted from the whole just iPad specific. Cause if you watch 3 Beats Later, all of my beginning beats from like June through to like September are all Beatmaker 3 beats. And I was able to do so much. But then once I started adding guitar, like recording guitar, trying to record vocals and all that stuff, then I was like, all right, I think I might need something different. Right. But I still went with a laptop versus, something different or whatever. But that's just my personal journey. And now I know that as soon as I went into the Logic gang, the M1 came out. And then I'm like, and then everyone's just talking about how powerful that is. And I'm like, I felt like I missed that a little bit.
There's Waves plugins on there, man. It's crazy. You can do anything, almost anything you can do in the desktop, you can do in Cubasis on the iPad. I mean, we got the same plugins, FabFilter and everything. So,
and it's cheaper.
That's way cheaper.
Some of those plugins, like FabFilter on iPad, is like, way more affordable.
Absolutely. I mean, we have major companies coming into the space now, from FabFilter, Waves, IK Multimedia, Synthmaster, Sugar Bytes, Arturia. There's really, the list goes on, and that's going to continue to get bigger and bigger. That's not going to slow down. That's going to continue to accelerate, especially as we can continue to count on these faster and faster chips being put into the iPad. Apple has signaled to the world that they want their devices to be the fastest devices on the world. And not only do they want it to be the fastest devices in the world, they want it to absolutely directly compete with desktop, in many different ways. It's at least in processing power. Obviously, they still want to sell MacBooks and they still want to sell servers and things like that. But there is Apple is dedicated to this space, to carving out this niche, making sure that at least maybe if they don't release Logic on the iPad, at least the power is there for other developers to be able to release something equivalent.
Right. Woo! So what's going? I mean, like, what are some? Can you start talking about some apps that kind of have piqued your interest recently? And actually, I've been phone. Anyone have a question for Vortex?
I actually had a question, real quick. Firstly, thank you for all this information. You bring a lot of technical perspective to the conversations that we usually have. So definitely appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Can you just speak really quickly to Cubasis? I mean, just excluding everything we're talking about with the mobile, with the iPads and everything. Me being an Android PC user, also being an Ableton user, Ableton gang. One of the things I really appreciate is how hard Cheeky goes for Logic and Beatmaker, and he has exposed us to a lot of things that I would have never thought. Because you kind of get stuck in one creative bubble with one DAW, you kind of marry yourself to it.
You get comfortable.
And right, exactly. So, can you just speak to Cubase specifically as why you like it as a production DAW?
Absolutely. So first of all, I never actually started on the desktop. I never actually went into the desktop stuff because again, I always thought that you needed that Star Trek studio. So then I've just been since 2013 trying to recreate essentially everything that you can do on the desktop on the iPad because I physically had a connection with this device and with this software, and so I, basically. A big part of Mobile Music Pro is taking videos that are on the desktop, but then redoing them for the iPad inside of Cubasis. So like how to mix bass, right? How to mix sub bass and things like that that you normally would find in FL Studio and Ableton stuff like that, but create that for the iOS community inside of Cubasis. So what really draws me to Cubasis is first of all, it is the most powerful DAW on iPad. Like you can do the most features. It has the most features. You can do the most things. So even if you are in Beatmaker 3, you'll still find people usually take their beat out of Beatmaker 3 and mix and master it, do the final mix and mastering inside of Cubasis because of the plugins and the workflow that it provides. So essentially, it really is kind of like Cubase on the iPad. And so if you like that particular workflow, which I do, which is the the horizontal line type of I'm much more of that than like an MPC, for example, per se. So I really like that, the timeline. And so Cubasis, the workflow for me worked just really well. I just slid right into it. I mean, everything can be expanded and contracted and pushed away kind of like a drawer. So the user interface really spoke to me. And then just the power of what you can do with it, especially with Cubasis 3, as it introduced all these things like multi-core processing, so we can have more tracks and have more plugins, the ability to have up to 16 plugins per track, these group tracks now that we can actually do group routing. It's very simple routing, but it's still the ability to group tracks and add plugins on that group. So little bit by little bit, it is gaining the features that it needs to have. And for example, in Cubasis 3, it introduced native sidechaining. You think that will be kind of like a basic thing to do, but it took 3 versions of Cubasis to get it in there. So, but Cubasis version 3, it's now in there. So for me, it's basically the workflow and the power that it can have, and the ability for it to literally basically mirror the Cubase on desktop. Because again, I mean, there's shortcomings, but I mean, you can literally anything that you need to do. You need to record a vocal. You need to process that vocal. You need to duplicate vocals, multiple takes, comp vocals, just whatever you need to do. You can do really simply on the iPad. And again, even if you don't use it for your professional production device, it's still great for a mobile to record stuff on the mobile on the go, and for your desktop setup. You can use it as a MIDI controller or a sound module because there's just so many things available, and it's super cheap compared to the desktop.
Oh, so are you on?
Thanks for that.
You're on a
Yes, sir.
desktop as well, though, now, right?
No, I literally
Wow.
produce 100% of my music inside of Cubasis on the iPad. Again, I use a keyboard and mouse, and because there's keyboard shortcuts on there and everything. So it's really, really familiar to me. And I love the iPad and everything. I love the touch, but I'm a keyboard and mouse guy. That's what I grew up on. So I love the ability to have the keyboard and mouse. But man, the ability to touch when you have your plugins and your instruments in front of you, you get that really visceral, tactile type of feel when you're adjusting things, and you see it adjusted. You're touching it. It's not, of course, real like being in front of the hardware, but man, it's pretty close, especially for like geek like myself, who's always in front of a screen anyway. It's really nice. It's really tactile and visceral, and I love that experience.
So when you say all completely 100% mobile, you mean 100% mobile? No, I'm just kidding.
That's my studio right there. You see the iPad and the speakers, like that's where I make my music right there.
I was gonna ask that as many times as I could, but okay, awesome.
I have a quick question for you, Vortex. First off, shout out on the shirt.
Yes.
I love this shirt.
I have to do the merch. I have to show off the merch.
I love the shirt. Yes. I'm starting to understand the power of the iPad.
Yes, sir.
When making this beat, I've never made a beat on the iPad before. And what's crazy is I had my iPad for over a year, and I've never.
Dude, nobody knows. Nobody
Right.
knows. I'm telling you,
Right.
producers don't even know. Imagine regular folks. I mean, the room for growth here for the iPad music production space specifically is so massive that it's, in my opinion, bigger even than the regular music production space. The potential.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, what got me this challenge was kind of difficult for me. Not difficult, but it tested my abilities a little bit, because I'm used to keyboards. I'm used to drum pads, and the spacing on the iPad, no matter how big the iPad is, when you play actual keys, it's kind of difficult to make a song when your keys are that small.
I got my
in
physical hooked up for sure. I got
And
my.
see,
my
that's what I gotta get. I gotta get all the components to
So
convert.
yeah, education. Let me tell you. There is a because I play keys too. So Yamaha MD-BT01. We gotta get them to sponsor. It's a Yamaha MIDI to Bluetooth. And whenever I travel, like the studios and stuff, it's usually just with the iPad. I might bring my computer, but I tell them to have a keyboard ready, and I just bring that. It's a Bluetooth MIDI to Bluetooth adapter. Plug it in, and you can connect it to your laptop or to your iPad, and you can play your keys and use all these sounds because you have some great pianos. You have there's an official Hammond organ on the iPad. There's electric pianos. There's I would say 99% of anything you want to create, you can create on the iPad. The 1% of the stuff that you can't create is the reason why I had to leave the iPad. But 99% of everything else, you can make on the iPad.
And just look at Pure Synth. I mean, the amount of instruments just in Pure Synth. I mean,
Yeah,
whatever you need to do, whatever.
Oh yeah,
gig,
if you play keys, look up gospel musicians and their plugins.
Yes.
Their plugins are just insane. It's run by a guy named Jamal Hartwell, who's a gospel musician, and all his plugins are centered on gospel like music sounds. But he has a bass app called Bassalicious, Pure Synth, MK Sensation. They are, I would say, they're a little bit more expensive on the iPad end. They're usually like expensive is like $10. Yeah.
Like
so
$20.
but on the desktop it's like $200. So it's like, and once you get it, if you have an Apple Mac, there's ways to connect your iPad and get the sounds out of your iPad into Logic. Most of the apps have Ableton Link. I've never used it. I don't know what it's about, but you can connect it through Ableton somehow. So there's ways to interface both. If you already have an iPad, find some great apps, and you can use both systems. It's really a great way to bridge the two worlds.
Because Ableton Link, that's a fantastic point. That you can literally bridge hardware now. So MPC Live, you can hook up to an iPad, be having your instruments on the iPad, beat on the MPC. I mean, anything with the Ableton Link. So it really opens up new worlds for collaboration for sure.
That's dope.
I just got to say two things. One, the Bassalicious pack for gospel musicians, sick. All of those bass sounds are nasty.
Every last one of them are good.
The growler, it's just like, it's crazy. And then
they're all
used that on one of your challenges last year.
Yeah.
I
remember when we
growler.
played that, you stopped and you were like, "What is that bass sound?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Even the live bass and the electric bass. Oh my god, the fretless bass too. It's beautiful inside of Bassalicious and Pure Synth. Well, he combined all the Bassalicious sounds into Pure Synth now, so I just use Pure Synth. But oh man, the bass sounds
so
beautiful.
So actually, that brings me to another thing. This, like, honestly, I tell the guys this all the time. I cannot find anything that is more intuitive than Beatmaker 3's pads when you are sequencing a beat and you are trying to quickly do triplets, quickly do 16th notes, 30-second notes. The ability to kind of change the pitch and use their sliding scale for, like, the amount of dynamics that you want to use, right?
I mean, arguably,
nothing. I don't know if there's anything out there that can beat.
There's literally Beatmaker 3 literally has one of the best samplers ever created on the planet. Like literally, it has one of the best samplers ever. And if you are an MPC person, the workflow is going to be right there for you. You're going to fit right in with their UI. But
I'm like, why? That is one thing. I haven't tried out all DAWs, right? I haven't tried out all hardware and software, so I don't really know. I'm just going to say from my experience, the quick can build something and sequence stuff that are in the triplet feel or change the swing and stuff like that on everything on Logic. It's like, just like they have the note repeat and shit like that. It's just kind of like, it's just like, it's a little cumbersome. It's nothing as quick in my experience that I've ever experienced is as quick as Beatmaker 3 is when you are trying to do those types of things, right? Like kick rolls, anything.
Maybe the MPC, maybe, but
right.
There's nothing that matches their ability to add hats. And Bolo, the producer, does this all the time on his channel. Shout out to Bolo. How he puts in his hats and then does the rolls just by tapping over to the right. There's nothing quite like that anywhere, but the closest you'd probably find would be an MPC.
Yeah. And I remember I was showing Grim that when we met up earlier this year. Like some of the pitch stuff, and he was like, "Yeah, that's just like the MPC." And again, I haven't played with the MPC, so. But I want to quickly just talk a little bit about this. One of the things that why the whole iPad is on the periphery is like from time to time you will hear about different artists that were using the iPad to actually create different albums and stuff like that. One of which that definitely came to mind was this Gorillaz album called Plastic Beach. And I remember when this came out, and all of the press around it was talking about how the dude who's like one of the lead singers in the band Blur, right? He's like the one of the main Gorillas or whatever. He was on tour and going from town to town, and he had with him, and he was basically just making this whole album out of sketches that were built on the iPad. So if you read up about this album, like he talks about his process and like what he was doing and how he came across like all these different songs. And when you listen to it, it's wild. This album is wild. Like all the sounds are kind of crazy. You can kind of hear some stuff that you're like, oh wait, that sounds familiar, like to being a specific iPad type of sound. This album came out. When did this come out? Does anyone know? Let's see.
Early days, I was 2012 or something, 2010 maybe.
Yeah, but
2013 maybe. It's really 2010.
2010.
Wow. Yeah, old. Yeah.
12 years ago.
12 years ago.
And they were making, and this dude was basically producing an entire album on the iPad. That was like his goal, right? I'm sure he had to take some of it to the studio, whatever, and add.
Well, don't get into it. It was mixed and mastered by Grammy Award-winning mixing engineers and mastered engineers after he produced it, before it actually touched the CD. But yes.
But this is the first time that kind of hit the radar where you start to hear people actually talking about like, oh yeah, that was made with an iPad. Like that is crazy. What about today? Does anyone have any kind of like just anecdotal information about who is really using an iPad for all their production?
Well, so really the iPad has been blown up a lot lately for things other than just albums. So for example, on Loopy on Jimmy Fallon, that went huge. That went super viral. Jimmy Fallon using the Loopy app. And that brought a lot of attention to the iPad, brought a lot of attention to the Loopy Pro app or to the Loopy app. And that was really great to see. People started looking at the iPad a little differently after that. And then you have like Steve Lacy's work, like Damn by Kendrick Lamar, and Ego Death by The Internet. They used the iPhone in combination with GarageBand for a lot of that stuff.
The Internet album.
Yep. And then plus a lot of famous people have used the iPad and stuff, and used GarageBand itself in things, in big things like Rihanna, used that GarageBand loop for the Umbrella song. So just GarageBand itself is actually bigger than most people think, if you just take the iPad aside for itself. And now you got to think about, well, the next 10 years, how many of those GarageBand users are going to start doing stuff on their iPad? Probably a lot, because most of them, again, don't even know that it's available on the iPhone or iPad. So I think that's going to be a big wave, is people using GarageBand on their iPad. But you have some other stuff like T-Pain, of course, did some stuff on the iPad. And then now Apple is pushing these new GarageBand sound packs from big, huge artists, like Lady Gaga and stuff like that. So they're trying to make more people aware of GarageBand itself and the fact that it is available on the mobile devices. And then, of course, you have a couple of big, producers like Henny the Business. He's been really red pilling, I guess you could say, a lot of people into the iPad. Really been trying to convince people that the power that you could do on this. He's kind of like almost like. Yeah, he's kind of like the forefront. He's kind of like the leader in the iOS music space, because he's got one of the biggest channels and has as one of the only iPad producers I know that has a Grammy and things like that. So he can use his platform to be able to, and he does use his platform to educate people a ton on mobile music production, and not even just producers, just everybody, singers, songwriters, musicians in general, on what the platform can do. So he's really a big wave with that. That's kind of the main people I can think of.
Yeah. Anybody else have any anecdotal info on who's really using the iPad out there right now? Phones? No.
There was a guy who was it Steve Lacy, works with Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, I mentioned it.
Okay. I think there's a lot of people who are using it. It's just we don't know.
Yep.
And unless they're like in an interview or they happen to be on the show and someone brings a song up. But
And
if
it's
they're
not
like
cool to talk about, so they're not going to talk about it yet.
yeah, and if they're like us, they're probably making 1,000 songs a day, and some of them might be on the iPad, some might be on the computer, and you know, depending on which one's place and land places. But yeah, I probably have. I know I have hundreds of tracks I made on the iPad alone, and it's just, you know, depending on where they go, where they land. But there are people out there like Henny, like Vortex mentioned, who actually I got more interested in creating on the iPad, on specifically Beatmaker 3 from finding him on YouTube. But even up to, like you said, over 10 years ago, I was making beats using iZotope or iDrum plugins on the iPhone. And I got a lot of their plugins just from entering a contest over 10 years ago when they were at RX2. And use apps to make beats and posted it to SoundCloud every day. And I won a lot of their plugins just from that when they were on like version 1 or 2 of a lot of their stuff over 10 years ago. So it's still new. It's 10 years old, just mobile music production in general. And the iPad is even newer than that. And it's still in its infancy stages. And of course, if anyone's going to get it right, it's going to be Apple with the stuff they're doing. But there's some other companies like I bought or won hundreds of apps, but I would probably not have half of them if IK Multimedia Mixbox came out sooner, because everything is in that app. Like, you don't need a lot of these other. I mean, there's some great developers out there. We love them all. But if Mixbox was out, 2 years before it came out, I wouldn't have half the apps I have.
Same with me.
Yeah. And now for the new people coming up, it's like, hey, what app should I get? Get Mixbox. You can use GarageBand, or if you have some investment, Cubasis, Beatmaker 3, and then of course the synth apps, the audio kit stuff, where they're also educating people on how to build apps, but also have some great apps out there. So there's a lot. It's a learning curve like any other DAW, but it's not just a DAW, because you're learning a platform. So you're learning like the iPad platform, like you learn a laptop, you're learning a whole new platform. It's not just learning, Ableton or Logic. You're learning everything about the App Store, or, developers and plugins, and how to sync it up with your, hardware, if you have hardware, and how to plug a mic up to it. So you're learning a different ecosystem, but it's a little bit more of a learning curve. But if you're willing to invest the time to learn it, and there's plenty of YouTube videos, plenty of courses and stuff out there to learn from. So definitely worth looking into.
Is it true? I don't know if this is true or not, so I'm just gonna throw it out there. Is GarageBand kind of like a playground or sandbox for what they're gonna release in Logic? Because some people have told me that like the latest edition of Logic's update includes stuff that was already in GarageBand. Like the latest update was these sound packs, and there's like 7 different producer sound packs or whatever. And when I told people about it, they're like, "Yeah, that was in GarageBand. Like that was already there." Like, I don't know if they're doing that or not.
Yeah, I don't know their Logic. Why they do that? Maybe it's something to give to the people that use the free version. But whenever they do that, I'm like, and then I know it's just a matter of weeks or months before it comes to Logic. And I honestly forget about some of those packs, even though there's some great producers that have packs out on Logic. Maybe Apple should come to 3 Beats Later and Mobile Music Pro and have us work on some packs for you, Apple, Tim Cook. But there's a lot of I don't know if they test it in the garage, or I don't know the reason for it going there first, but a lot of times I see the videos on like, hey, this new pack is now in GarageBand, and I'm like, well, what about those of us who bought Logic? And it usually comes our way a couple of weeks or maybe a month or two later.
Yeah. Can we talk about development too in Vortex? You come from that kind of like software development world, and you've talked to some developers too for these different apps. It feels like, from what I can tell, that the technology to let like everyday people who know nothing about coding and stuff like that is getting to the point where it'll be like easier for like someone who doesn't really know anything to actually go and build something. And I think I was following somebody who you had on one of your roundtables, Audio Kit, right? He put out some video about how to actually build using the Xcode playground in an iPad. Do you know anything about like just development in terms of how easy it is to kind of step into that world as just like a layman?
Sure. So basically, my background is software development, specifically on the web application, so web design and web programming, ASP.NET, C# kind of stuff. So that's where my background is. So I've never actually developed for the mobile, but I still understand it and know about it, and it's on my periphery, and I still find it extremely fascinating, especially now with the recent audio kit stuff. So basically, Apple has created, like you say, a version of Xcode that allows you, which is their programming development environment, to be able to be downloaded directly on the iPad now. So now you can actually write apps directly on your iPad, where before that wasn't really possible. You still had to use the MacBook Pro and stuff to be able to do that. But now Apple is realizing, hey, we got keyboard support, we got M1s in here. Well, maybe we should start allowing people to program stuff. And so they released this Playgrounds development environment. And again, still very early. It's like version 1, and just like our DAWs. I mean, our DAWs are at version 3. Cubasis 3, BeatMaker 3. Like, so if, just to give you an idea of where we are, like very, very early days still, but we're getting there. And so with this type of stuff happening, I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see what people are going to do with it. Because real quick, because it's free. First of all, it's free, so you can download it. It's free, and AudioKit is putting out all of these tutorials, video tutorials. Now, as far as how easy it's going to be, it's still programming. So there's still going to be ifs and thens and whens and loops and all these things. So but the ability to just follow a tutorial and just make something. Just make literally from scratch, like from your brain, and make something. However simple it is, even if it's just a drum app, something very simple like a pad app, like is one of the tutorials that they give you. Is how to make this very simple drum machine pad app. It's still a huge, great accomplishment. It's a great feeling for, especially wherever you are in your career path, because you can maybe it's something that you might find interesting enough to take to a full career, or maybe it's just something that can help you with what you're doing in your current career. But either way, I can tell you that a couple of skills that you can learn, like music production and programming, these skills will be with you forever, and they will be useful forever. You might not think so, but it actually is true. Like both programming and music production, the math and the music theory kind of get married together in both of these kind of scenarios, especially when you're talking about music production apps. And so this stuff is very, very interesting, and I really recommend for people looking for a hobby or looking to maybe expand their skill set. It's really great because, again, now this is available free on your iPad. You can start coding this stuff.
And Vortex, you remind me of when you were saying, like, we're at Cubasis 3, BeatMaker 3. Go back and look at Pro Tools 3 or Logic 3. Look at the iPhone 3 or whatever it was called back then, and look how far we've come. So imagine, and we've been on Logic Pro 10 for, it seems like, 10 years. So imagine what BeatMaker 10 and Cubasis 10, is going to look like if they don't get bought out by any of those bigger companies or merged together, which also could happen, which would be great if some of these companies sort of merge the best. Like, I don't know why Akai hasn't purchased Intua, because it is
all day
the best version of MPC, and just keep it as BeatMaker 3 or maybe Akai. I don't know, but yeah, just imagine, like, go back to version 3 of whatever software you're using if it's not a new version, and see what it looked like, and just imagine technology, and it's moving faster now. So BeatMaker 4 or 5, Cubasis 4 or 5, it's going to be insane when those come out.
That's why I'm telling people, like, by the end of this decade, iPad will be a serious player, because at that point, sometime this decade, all of the major companies will have a play. They'll either have their own app available, or they'll buy out, like Definga said, some of the current existing DAWs and just repurpose that. But either way, everybody's going to have a play on the iPad by the end of the decade, whether that's software or hardware. And we're already seeing a ton of hardware, like sound cards and other things, other devices, instruments and such, be made specifically for mobile, specifically for the iPad, because producers and people in general are demanding their technology be more mobile and more portable. And so this is the way. This is what's going to happen. Everything is going to get smaller, easier, and more portable, and that includes the iPads.
Yeah, and it's just to be like, Facebook just bought Acusonus, which is like, you start seeing these companies and you're like, okay, what are they going to do next? And Facebook, with the whole Meta, and they're probably going to integrate all of that. There will definitely be an iPad or some type of virtual player. Maybe they'll create their own tablet device. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, that's where the world is going.
Absolutely.
And in case you're curious, this is what an iPhone 3 looks like to fingers.
Oh my goodness. It was so tiny, dude. It was so tiny.
It looks like a toy.
It does. It's so tiny.
So unfortunately, Q cannot be with us tonight. Q, usually rocks with us. And Q is our resident NFT. What are we going to call him?
Crypto guy.
Crypto guy. He's our NFT advocate for that.
There you go.
And we, every episode someone's going to talk about an NFT, or Q's going to talk about an NFT, or someone's going to talk about crypto and stuff like that. And I only joined Coinbase like 2 years ago, maybe, and kind of dove into that world. But for the first time, we actually have someone on the show who might actually know more than us, and actually, by might I mean actually does know more than us about crypto. So tell me about how much Shiba I should be buying right now.
All right. So for those that don't know, I've actually has been in the Bitcoin community for a number of years. I actually had a podcast for about 5 years there. And I started way back in 2012 when Bitcoin was about $2.50. And I watched all the run-ups and crashes since. And so it's been a crazy journey. And I basically left the space in 2019 to go full into music with Mobile Music Pro. But during that time, from 2012 to 2019, I saw a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of crazy things happened. ICOs before NFTs and things of that nature. So what I saw was basically just a ton of altcoins get created. And so what happened was Bitcoin invented something called proof of work. It invented basically something called digital scarcity. Nothing ever was scarce in the digital realm until Bitcoin came along, because you can copy files, paste files, copy images, paste images, copy emails, and so on. So there was this first time something finite, an actual digital scarcity. And so some people saw that and they're like, you know what? I can create that. The code, Bitcoin code, is literally open source. It's open source code. Anybody can go and copy it. So it's what they did. They copied it, they pasted it, they created Litecoin, they created all of these funny things, Shiba and all these other things. But what I am an advocate for, though, is basically Bitcoin and Bitcoin alone, because Bitcoin is the there was 30, 40, 50 plus years of standing on the shoulders of giants of technologies that went into Bitcoin. So it's built on all of these technologies that was actually mostly created by the government. Things like IP, some of the RSA security, some of the cryptography, all of this kind of stuff was actually mostly created by the government. In fact, most of the communication technologies we use today were actually originally created from the government. But and then move to the public sector. So basically, Bitcoin is the reason why I went around the entire world, many countries for many years talking about Bitcoin and spreading the word about Bitcoin, is because of its importance, because of what it is and what it represents. So essentially, Bitcoin is the most secure form of money we've ever had. So you can kind of think of it as a digital gold. And prior to Bitcoin, most of the money in the world was always issued by a government. So there was no way around that. And that is mostly how it is today. So we have hundreds and hundreds of currencies created by hundreds and hundreds of governments. And for the most part of history, the governments did not treat those currencies very well. They hyperinflated them. They did many different things to where it empowered the government, but unfortunately screwed over the rest of the regular people. And so we're seeing that today. For example, around the world, we're seeing money printing go into the craziness. Just for COVID, we printed like trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars alone just for COVID. And so just crazy amount of money printing is happening around the world. And effectively what we've done is we've kind of broken the global financial system because we've created so much debt, so much leverage, and printed so much money that essentially the system is kind of broken. It was always going to be broken because of the decisions that was led up to that. But now here we are with this broken system. And so Bitcoin is now more important than ever. And so the reason why Bitcoin is important are many reasons, but the main reason is because nobody can create more Bitcoin. There's only going to ever be a finite amount of 21 million. And that in itself is something unprecedented to human society and ever. This is why it's the most secure form of money ever created, because it's the only form of money we've ever had with a cap. It has a cap. So you can own a piece of it that no government, that no third-party entity, that no tech company, that nobody can create more of. And so that is very, very, very important. So it's basically this huge pie that everybody can have a piece of. And Bitcoin doesn't care who you are. Bitcoin doesn't care about your skin color. Bitcoin doesn't care about how much money you make. Bitcoin doesn't care where you are. It is an open, global, censorship-resistant protocol that is sent just like the TCP/IP on the internet. There's no CEO of email, and there's no CEO of Bitcoin. And so because of this open system that is being created by and maintained by many thousands and thousands of people, millions of people now around the world, It's never going to go away. And the promise of Bitcoin is to provide a counterbalance to the global Federal Reserve US dollar homogeny petrodollar system. And that has suppressed so many people, propped up the United States, but suppressed so many people around the world, started so many wars, toppled so many regimes, and, effectively has the world kind of pinned. You are pretty much forced to use dollars around the world for the most part. And so what Bitcoin provides is a counterbalance to that. So while they're going to print tons and tons and tons of money and enrich the wealthy, the 1% of the world, Bitcoin is going to continue to only have that same finite amount. And so with this counterbalance, you have something that can actually, literally be one of the most important technologies that the world has ever seen, because money is one of the most important technology that the world has ever created and used. So when you have Bitcoin, now that Bitcoin is this new form of money, it is going to affect everyone and everything as it continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So from like, a humanitarian side of things, that's kind of where I stand on Bitcoin. It's really, really important for humanity. Now, as far as for the individual, Bitcoin is going to super, super important for every individual because it allows you to retain your purchasing power. As the government prints more and more and more money, your dollars in your bank account become more and more worthless. They're telling you that it's 2% inflation out there. It's not. It's more like 20% inflation. You talk to governments or you talk to businesses out there, and they'll tell you that in 2021, all their expenses were 20% plus more expensive than they were in 2020. This inflation is killing people. It's hurting people. It's hurting people all around the world. It's creating more and more. It's destroying the middle class, and it's creating more and more poverty. So with Bitcoin, this counterbalance system, what it allows you to do is buy into this Bitcoin and hold pieces of it. And Bitcoin is designed to pump against the other system. So when the other system, as it continues to derail and do worse and print more, Bitcoin is just going to keep going up. Because of how it's designed, because it's this finite amount. People understand that there's literally only a few places in the world that you can put your wealth. Gold, precious metals, stocks, real estate, art. There's only very few places. And right now, all of those things are getting pumped to the moon because of this money printing. So assets, houses, cars, all of this stuff is going up like crazy. Stocks is all going up like crazy, while everybody is getting more and more poor. So basically, the fix for this is Bitcoin. So you hold Bitcoin, and Bitcoin continues to go up over time. So if you use Bitcoin as a high yield long-term savings account, then you can literally save your purchasing power. Do something that nobody's ever been able to do in the history of the world, is hold your purchasing power no matter what the government does. That is super, super important, because now you can pass on your wealth to your children, to your children's children, to your children's children's children, and so on. And you just couldn't do that before. Billionaires could do it. They could have their money in different accounts across the world, offshore accounts and things like that. But that was never accessible to a regular person. Outside of billionaires, we've never been able to do this. And so now the technology that billionaires had for many centuries is now finally available to the regular person. And that is all you have to do is just, purchase a little bit of Bitcoin. So what I recommend people do is like buy one less pizza, go out to one less movie, and just put that into Bitcoin and do that every week, every month for a few years, about minimum of 4 years. And you will see a good return. Like, this is not financial advice, but you will be better off, because Bitcoin is the best performing asset in the past 10 years. So it has the highest Sharpe ratio. It has created the most amount of wealth in any other asset in the last 10 years. It has pumped over 10,000%. We have gone from pennies to tens of thousands of dollars and created an unprecedented amount of wealth in that process. And when you see like the Bitcoin rich, when you see like some of these wealthy people in Bitcoin, because they all came from, regular people, you see what they're doing. You see the companies that they're building. You see the entrepreneurship that they're spreading. You see they're not creating worthless, social network apps in Silicon Valley. They're creating powerful, world-changing applications like the Lightning Network app that allows you to transfer Bitcoin instantaneously from anywhere around the world. They're building actual technologies that can really help people all over the world. And so with Bitcoin, what I try to tell people is, you got to try to get own your little piece of the network, because it is like owning a piece of Google, Facebook, and Amazon in 2000. Except now anybody and everybody has an opportunity, not just accredited investors. Anybody with an internet connection can now be a part of this global monetary network, which is going to be extremely important. And it is still extremely early days, only 10 years old, plus maybe around 10 years or so old. And so we have another 100x to go in Bitcoin. Bitcoin has to be, if it's going to succeed, and be a digital gold and be the counter agent to the global US dollar homogeneous system, it has to be millions and millions and millions of dollars per coin. And as more people around the world, because it's about 1% of the world's wealth right now, 1% or less of the world's wealth. And that has to be in the 50, 60 plus percent in the over the next 10, 20, 30 years for it to really succeed. And that's where it's going, because Bitcoin is either going to be millions and millions and millions of dollars per coin, or it's going to be worthless. There's just nothing in between, because that's what it's designed to be, is this global final settlement asset system with no attachment to government and no ability for any third party to mess with. And that's really the promise of it.
And I need you to pause for 30 seconds. Hang on.
Pow, 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 pow.
Wait, we're gonna try. Hang on, we're gonna try one thing really quick.
Pow,
That's the 30-second
Beatmaker.
Beatmaker 3 joint right there.
Yeah.
So
I didn't mean to go too off the rails, but I had to explain
that
how
is-
important Bitcoin is to the world.
that's the one thing that I'm looking at it right now. Like, we're looking at the price, right? If you look far enough back, it was $127 back here, $100. Bam, we're up at 44.
It was
right?
pennies. It was pennies.
Yeah, and I mean the decentralization in terms of like, keeping away from like governments and stuff like that. And then also now all of these big financial services companies are putting it on their books.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, that's really where I'm kind of like, okay.
That's a big part of what you just described. There is a new wave in Bitcoin where people are realizing that it can actually be a store of value. So they're actually putting it on their corporate balance sheet. And so when you do that, when you look at how many billions and billions of dollars Wall Street has just on their balance sheet, that's just evaporating because of the inflation. It's evaporating. Right. It's melting like an ice cube at 20+% per year. When you see all the billions of dollars that they could put in, they could put that into Bitcoin. If it was just used as a corporate treasury asset alone, it would be many hundreds of thousands of dollars a coin, many millions of dollars a coin if it was just corporate treasury asset. But it's far more than just a corporate treasury asset. It's a global global settlement system. It's a currency. It's a digital asset. It's so many things.
So what do you think about this though? What are your thoughts on?
Yeah. So basically, when I go around the world talking about Bitcoin and the importance of Bitcoin, I try and tell people that, look, there's Bitcoin is basically the sun, and all of these other little altcoins are essentially planets and moons that orbit around Bitcoin's gravity. Mm-hmm. So because Bitcoin exists, it's going to have a gravity long tail of a million other assets, and it's just like anything else where you're gonna have your Google, Facebook, and Amazon, and you're gonna have a million penny stocks that you can invest in if you want. Right. That's just the same thing. But I try to tell people, do not get lost in the altcoins, because it's extremely risky. If you want to gamble, be my guest. But if you want to save and preserve your purchasing power and possibly retire one day, then I definitely encourage you to do Bitcoin and nothing else. Mm-hmm. But if you want to gamble and FOMO right in there, you can definitely do that. And there is near unlimited amount of coins for you to do that with.
Hey,
what about Ethereum? Isn't Ethereum essentially just as good as a bet as Bitcoin?
So Ethereum would be the second bet. So it carries more risk than Bitcoin technically, but of course it is literally the number 2 coin on the planet. So it wouldn't be a bad bet, but it does carry more risk than Bitcoin. And the promise of it is not the same as Bitcoin. The promise of Ethereum is essentially more like a programming language, like a platform that you can create things on top of, like NFTs. And Bitcoin is more of a global monetary network that is designed to move money from small amounts to large amounts and be able to store that money and be able to secure that money. If you look at what Bitcoin has, something called Bitcoin miners, these miners essentially are like the army of Bitcoin. So you have army that protects nation states, and these miners protect the Bitcoin network. And so they put millions of dollars in servers to be able, which is basically like their tanks, to be able to secure this network. And we secure this network globally with zero bloodshed, zero wars, zero weapons. This is all through technology that Bitcoin is secured. So it is the most ethical and secure system, ethical and secure monetary system we've ever created.
That's a good point. I haven't really heard someone express that point of view in terms of the wars.
It gets crazier than that, because Bitcoin allows you to be able to monetize electricity and energy anywhere on the planet. Let me repeat that. Bitcoin allows you to monetize energy anywhere on the planet with an internet connection. So prior to this, what we had to do is we had to run big, huge lines and fuel lines and things like that to be able to harness energy more sustainably, like hydropower and things like that. But now with Bitcoin, you don't need to run any pipes. You just literally hook up the hydropower to a little shack with an internet connection, and you are making money. You are now monetizing the hydropower. So what this is going to do is it's going to effectively bring down the price of power across the planet and create a new golden age for energy generation, for green energy generation. It's going to incentivize us to create technologies that we could have never dreamed about to produce energy in the most efficient and sustainable ways that we could have ever hoped to imagine. Prior to this, there was really not a whole lot of incentive. It's like, well, the planet's not doing good, but I'm a billionaire, so I'm fine. But with Bitcoin, right. It's anybody on the planet literally can now create an energy business, can compete in the energy market. And Texas is actually taking a big, huge step with this as well. Texas has openly said they want as many Bitcoin miners as they can get in their state. So, wow. More and more people are realizing this, but that alone is going to literally create, is going to solve the energy crisis. Bitcoin is going to solve the energy crisis in addition to solving the monetary crisis that we have as well.
So what I hear from P is, P, how much Ethereum are you holding right now? Huh?
Wait, you're muted, bro.
You're muted.
I don't
Bitcoin muted him.
Really. I know, right? Actually, I don't. I mean, I got a little bit, but I mean, I don't feel that I can even. I guess I just was investing just based on everything that you said about the decentralization, the decentralized nature of it and whatnot. I guess I'm trying to not make this a whole crypto conversation because we can clearly talk about this for a long time.
Hey, people love it. People love it.
It's interesting to me how volatile it is and how, at this point, I kind of envisioned it being an actual currency as opposed to an asset. It still seems like it's an asset and not a currency. Like I'm still waiting for the day where you can easily buy a Tesla with some crypto or go to McDonald's or something like that.
So I can speak to that for sure. That, first of all, that's great points. Absolutely great points. So first of all, volatility I want to speak to. So essentially when you come from pennies and you want to go to millions of dollars, you're going to have a lot of volatility, and that is a good thing. Volatility is actually a good thing as long as it's going like this, right? As long as it's going up and down, but it's going up and down like that, right? And that's what Bitcoin has done. So it's gone up and down, but overall, over the past 10 years, it has increased over 10,000+%. So yes, it is volatile, and you can see it go down to 30, 50, 80% drawdowns, but that's after pumping 5,000% over the last few years. Right. So if you want to look at where Bitcoin was, for example, we had these huge drawdowns from 69K, right? We're like, oh man, down to 30K, down to 28K. We're like, yo, it's over. But if you look where we were in 2020, we were literally at $3,000.
Well, why do you think the media is so focused on, I guess, blacklisting Bitcoin? They seem very
Yeah. So it's mostly clicks, and but people are coming around to it because you see, Bitcoin is this thing where the more you try to hit it, the more it's going to absorb it and then throw it back at you. So, for example, there was the whole Elon Musk thing, right, where he's like, mining is bad, the planet's going to die. And then what happened was Bitcoiners formed this Bitcoin mining group and went around the world asking miners what their energy, how they create their energy. And it turns out we got some facts and figures here that 70-80+% of the mining energy used to mine Bitcoin is renewable energy. So renewable and sustainable energy coming from geothermal, coming from hydropower, et cetera, and solar, et cetera. So now you can't use that narrative anymore. That narrative is now broken.
That's
anybody can
stuck though. That narrative is. Talk to anybody today, they're like,
and narratives can stick around for years, and that's fine. But the technology is being built underneath. All the people are still working. Everything is still exponentially growing from the source code to the ability. And I'm going to speak to that real quick too. Speaking of exponentially growing, basically you said that you wish you could buy a car with Tesla and things like that. Essentially, Bitcoin, yes, is still more of an asset right now because it's like saying I want to be able to buy a Tesla with Apple stock. It's not really meant for that. But with Bitcoin being an asset, it's also a currency though. So what we have is something called the Lightning Network, which is a protocol built on top of Bitcoin. So you have Bitcoin protocol, you have the Lightning Network protocol that's built on top of it. And with the Lightning Network protocol, it carries slightly more risk than the base asset, but it gives you this magical ability to send Bitcoin instantaneously anywhere in the world. And Twitter just adopted this. You can now tip anybody in the world via Twitter over the Lightning Network and instantly receive payment. So that right there alone is a huge global thing, because there's something called remittance, where people send money back to their families from other countries, and they're currently getting screwed with 30, 40, 50% fees, 2-week wait times, and physical danger at the actual locations. And so now with Lightning, you can literally remit via Twitter now instantaneously. And if you do use the Lightning Network, you can use it right now. There's over last I checked, there was a few $1 billion per month or per couple of months being settled on the Lightning Network right now. So you can definitely still you can do that, but that's going to exponentially grow as well. And there will be a day when everybody is on the Lightning Network protocol, because what happens is it flips. So for example, if you look at cars, horses ruled the day. They ruled the day. And then cars came along and like, yo, I can't drive my car over this crazy road. It's ridiculous. But what happened was we built roads. And now with roads, now the cars and the horses can go. So it supported the old system and the new system. So now horses can be just fine, but now cars can take over. So same thing here, where eventually the system flips. So we're going to go from the settlement system of Federal Reserve settlement system to the Lightning Network in Bitcoin. And when that flip actually occurs, everybody will be able to be on board, because it's kind of like sending an email in 1994. Not a whole lot of people had an email. Didn't make sense, but eventually it flipped. There was a threshold reached where everybody had email, and that's going to be very, very similar for Bitcoin and crypto. Same way, you see it play out over and over again with iPhones, with email, with cars, with electricity, with the internet, with mobile phones, and it's going to play out again with Bitcoin and crypto.
Wow. Hang on.
I wonder how much crypto you have still dashed from your retirement days.
It's like I said, like I'm not rich or nothing. Like I'm middle class,
Right.
retired. I got my house and my car, and that's about it. But because money was never. I come from a relatively poor family, relatively poor to middle class family, and from Minnesota. So I never had money, and I never went to college. Never got. I didn't even finish high school. I literally left in 10th grade. So and went straight into web design, and then got into programming after that. So I just, I've never been about the money part of it, but you have to speak about it because, it is so
Right.
important. So what I did is I just was 100% focused on delivering the message about Bitcoin to the world. And while I had a day job, so I just had my day job, and I talked about Bitcoin after the day job was over, and that was it. I didn't really consider, I knew that if Bitcoin succeeded, I would have some wealth, but I never, considered that as a main part, as a main incentive to be able to tell people about this, because even if Bitcoin succeeded a little bit, people could have still been helped. But Bitcoin has succeeded like crazy, and it's still so early. So I have to.
So can we talk about NFTs real quick? I know, Cheeky, we got to move on, but I just want to connect the technology to music.
Yeah.
Right now there's a lot of action in the NFT space, and I understand how the blockchain technology creates, rarity and makes things non-fungible and all that. How do you perceive the space? One thing I'm concerned about is just the amount of fraud that exists, and B, how as musicians, right? How do we mint our music? Like, how do we make our songs and music now non-fungible and try to derive income off of that?
So right now, the NFT space is even earlier than the crypto space and music production space. It's very, 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 very early. So what people are trying to do right now is create these contracts, these digital contracts that allows, for example, profits from a music song to go to all the different parties instantaneously, and with no other friction, with no third parties. So that is extremely exciting to be able to revolutionize the copyright space. And that's not going to happen overnight. That's going to take many, many years. So you have a lot of people right now that are trying to sell you this NFT on this metaverse, when the metaverse itself and NFTs in general are still many, many, many years away from any type of mainstream type of thing. So it's still very early days. So what I would say is that you got to learn about it. You got to understand this stuff is coming. It's basically like learning email in the 90s, in the mid 90s. It would have served you well come 5 years later in 2000s. So same here with NFTs. They're not going away. Bitcoin is not going away. Crypto is not going away. So it will be a part, because it's money. Money touches everything. So it's going to affect everything. So Bitcoin and crypto and NFTs will affect everything. However, we are many, many years away from an actual metaverse. And we are many, many years away from, for example, governments enforcing, governments and companies enforcing NFT rules and blockchain agreements. However, it's promising. See, that's what's beautiful. It's again, reminds me of Bitcoin in the early days, or the internet in the early days. We can see what could possibly be this world of digital rights, where everybody gets what's coming to them properly, properly, gets their rights paid for them instantaneously, and that is a world that will happen one day, but it's still a few years away. We're talking like, maybe 5 to 10 plus years away at the earliest. But eventually, one by one, companies will come, and that's how it works. Basically, one person comes in, then a few others, and then the herd eventually stampedes over. And so I would encourage people to learn about NFTs, to learn about some of the NFT platforms that are happening right now, like OpenSea. Some of these platforms, it's very unlikely that any of these things will exist 5-10 years, because they're just going to be bought by big companies and consolidate. That's how big tech companies usually work. But still, the things you can do right now are pretty promising. So it's very good to learn about OpenSea, to learn about NFTs, and to learn about the promise that these can deliver for things like music rights. As far as making money from them, and how can a musician and a producer start utilizing them, you can definitely easily mint an NFT. Anybody can do this. That's what part of the beauty part about it is, the open system, the open nature of it. But to, for example, make money off it, it's kind of the same old stuff, where if you don't have a following and you mint an NFT, you're not going to get rich. If you're Eminem and you mint an NFT, you're going to get rich. So it's like, it all depends on who you are and what your following is, as far as your expectations for any type of profits in the space. It's just similar to everything else, where you have to have a following, but you can get into these communities. You can go into these communities, into the Discord rooms, and gain a following, and learn about these people, and learn about these projects, and maybe work for other projects first. Maybe make some music for some other NFT projects first, or some art for some other NFT projects, and then maybe you can start your own eventually when you have a following. But you want to be learning about this technologies, because these are going to be around for pretty much ever, just like the internet. That's never going to go away.
Power.
Woo! Amazing. And you know what's crazy is, like, right before that last segment Vortex gave us, he took a couple sips of water because he was winding up for us, because that was just like another.
I go on rants. You have to forgive me.
Man, that was I can't even call it a rant, because it's just like all gems. You know what I mean?
All gems.
So really appreciate that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna transition now. We're gonna talk about music again. We're to bring it back to what this challenge was for this week. So to keep the theme alive, we have Mobile Music Pro on the podcast today, and we had to make some mobile music using different apps. And on the show, we usually kind of spin a wheel to see who's going to share their creation for the week. And I think we have 4 beats. Like, I have something to share. Vortex has something. E has something. What else? Who else has a beat? Have something.
I got an idea. I worked on Koala.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got something together on Koala.
Okay.
Yeah, I got something. I think I got something in there. I don't know if I tried to send it. I don't know if it went through, but let me know. I could try to play it too.
Okay, cool. Does anybody want to go first, or should we just spin this wheel really quick?
Well, I'm the special guest. You can go. I can go first.
Wow.
Okay. Wait, I thought we said the guest never goes first, Cheeky.
We did.
Unless they volunteer to go first.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right.
Because I got a video with mine.
I was gonna volunteer to go first.
No, it's too late. No, I guess I already volunteered. Man, Andy said he got a video to go with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a video explaining the beat and everything that I went through and how I made it, because it was kind of funny, because the challenge was make it using iPad apps, but of course that's literally all I do, so it wasn't any more of a challenge for me than normal.
It's like, I'm here already.
I'm already here.
All right, so we could play this video really quick. I'm going to share my screen, share the sound.
The audio, of course, in the video is not going to be as good as the actual bounced wave that I sent to Cheeky as well, but you'll still be able to hear it.
Yeah, and I have that as well. We could play that too. But
well, let me just introduce it real quick. So basically, like, I kind of wanted to come out of left field and be a little bit different here, because I do have a metal pack coming out completely free with a contest on March 2nd. And so I thought I wanted to do something with metal and hip hop. So I'm like, what can I do? So I started looking around, and I knew about the trap metal genre. So I started listening to a few of those songs. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try to do something in this genre. So that's where the idea came from.
Okay, great. We also have, it looks like it's a 10-minute video. Do you want me to play the whole thing? Do you want me to
it's up to you. If it's up to you, however you want to do it. What I do is I just quickly do a quick intro, then I play the beat, which is about 3 minutes long, and then about 7 minutes of explaining it.
Okay. Can we play the beat and then go through your explanation?
Yeah, maybe play the wave if you can.
Okay, let's do that. Let's
Play the wave, and then when you play the video, just skip through the part where I play through the beat.
Okay, perfect. Here we go. Everybody, get ready. Hit the mute buttons because you got to listen to this joint. Here we go.
It's gonna get crazy.
And then let me know if you could hear it too. It's gonna take a second to load because it's a wave. Oh, and I think I need to turn the volume up. That would help. And give it 2 seconds. Who's on the guitar, by the way? Is this who made it?
Well, yeah. So first of all, it's mastered. So I don't know if you want to turn it all the way up, but it's so all the sounds that you hear are coming from our brand new, completely free Essentials metal pack that is launching March 2nd. So all the sounds, except for a few hats, I think I used some cymatic samples, and then a few effects is coming from our free effects pack as well. But basically, all the sounds are coming from the iPad and or from the Essentials pack, and I explain that too in the video as well. So.
And I'm going to go to the website while this is loading up too, just to make sure.
It looks like it's loaded, but
yeah, it does.
So if you can see the waveform.
I just played it a second ago, and then it took like way longer than I thought it would. Where to go to sample packs?
Yep, first one there.
There we go.
So all the sounds are
100%
coming from this pack here.
And this is okay. So we're still 14 days away from the release. Okay, cool. Let's go back to this. Come on. Here, let me. Oh,
there we go. Okay.
I don't know how that happened. It just went to the end. And there we go.
May need to turn it down. Then it repeats from here.
Yo, that is so sick. You said it repeated, so
Yeah, it repeats from there. So the first half, but yeah, it's a couple of verses and stuff. Yeah,
I just feel like there's like a dope movie happening, like multiple. Yeah, it's just like the illest chasing.
for sure. Yeah, I definitely rocked out on that one for sure. Brought the energy.
Who's playing guitar there?
So the pack was created by a producer named Guy. And so how all of our packs get created is essentially I have an original vision that I want to come up with something. And so I hire a producer and we talk it out and figure out what the best approach to create it. And then they create and come back with something for me. And then I see if I like it or not. So I'm kind of more of like a creative director. And so, we go back and forth until we find something that we like. And then I have the producer create the rest of it. So essentially the producer's name was The Guy, and he is a metal producer, and he produces any kind of metal and rock you can think of. And so he produced this sample pack, and he created five mini songs, and then we break down the sounds from there into loops and one shots and so forth. And so this pack is going to come with like 20 guitar loops, 20 drum loops, and everything like that. The drum loops you heard in there was created by me, though. I actually created that originally. So but all the guitar stuff that's from the pack. But the drums were made by me, but the one shots are coming from the pack.
Well, we gotta put a bookmark on talking later about putting together like a funk guitar joint. Cheeky CP and Vortex collab for the next pack. Okay, you want me to do a bit of this video? Okay.
Yeah, we'll just play a little bit of that, and then you can skip forward in the video where I play the song because we already heard it.
Okay. Would you say for where would be a good spot to start?
Let's see. Right after it's playing. Well, we can just hit play, and
okay.
It'll become quite apparent. Woo! I was playing through it there. But it's after that. Metal sample pack that I used to create this project was also actually created and recorded inside of Cubasis. Basically making every single sample in here, except for a couple of cymatic samples, made entirely on the iPad. Every single sound was actually recorded on the iPad. A total of about 22 different tracks, and that is going to include our drum tracks here, like the kick, snare, closed hats, open hats, crash, hats, and so forth. And then I have a single bass track here, which is the bass guitar. And then I have the rhythm guitar, a couple lead guitars, and a guitar noises track. And then finally we have those FX tracks here, which is all going to be routed into the FX group. So you'll notice I have a couple of different groups here. I have the drum group, and then I have the guitar group, and then I have the FX group. So Cubasis 3 did introduce group tracks, which is really great for routing. Now, like I said, this project was produced, mixed, and mastered in the iPad, but first let's go over some of the production before we get into the mixing. So if we zoom in here, you can see at the very top. Now, since there's no actual instrument track inside of Cubasis, what I did is create a MIDI track with empty MIDI regions. And then I named each one of those empty MIDI regions and sized them out appropriately so that they did indeed represent different sections of the song. So you can see here I have the intro, bridge, verse, drop, chorus, and so on. Now almost all of my drums here are using MIDI, except for a couple of these cymatics samples here. And we are using the Digistix 2 app for that. So if we tap on Digistix 2, you can see that we are using sounds from our sample pack. If we just scroll down to this page here, we have our grid, and you can tap on those. So let's close out of that. In fact, let me just open that up real quick just to show you that you can actually drag and drop samples pretty easily inside of the iPad. If I just minimize this for a second and bring up my Sample Crate app, what I'm going to do is put that in the far right hand corner and select Cubasis. And now I can actually drag samples in. Let's just grab a kick from in here. Very cool. And I can just drag that on over. And it's just that simple. So working with the iPad is still pretty new, but it is advancing pretty quickly, and it is really fun to work with still. And now I just want to briefly talk about the mixing of this track. So if we go back to our drums here, there's really not very many effects that I used in here. And in fact, I have access to Mixbox and all those really advanced effects, but I actually mostly end up using just the stock effects inside of Cubasis. I've certainly compared them and A/B tested them, and for the most part, Cubasis sounds about 90, 95%, sometimes 98% is good. At least to my ear, which of course, everything is subjective. But when I'm reaching for effects, it's just really easy to just reach for a stock effect as opposed to going to Mixbox and then choosing an effect over there. So if we look here at our drum group, you can see that I'm not using too many things, just a compressor here. And that is using the preset Tight Mix Bus. And you can see Cubasis has a ton of mixing presets in here for just about every single plugin. Let's check a couple of their tracks here. If we go to our kick track, we got a channel strip, a studio EQ, and an FAC transient app. And that is using the TR Punchy preset. And this is just to give our kick, just like it says, a little bit of extra punch. And then for the snare, just a channel strip and studio EQ, nothing fancy on here. I think I'm using the acoustic snare preset. Yep, nothing too fancy there. You'll find all of these drum tracks pretty much just have a channel strip and studio EQ. And most of it is using the stock presets inside of Cubasis. I definitely tweak some every once in a while, but I always usually start out with one of the stock presets. They sound really good. Now, if we go to our trap hats section here, you can see that for these 2 tracks, I actually have an additional plugin on here called Wider. And this plugin is also available on the desktop, so it's pretty well known. This is by the Infected Mushroom Group. And you can see for the hats, I am actually extending this out about 100%. For the first hats, a little bit less, about 98%, but I believe for the second one, I'm extending that out even more. Yep, 136% here. Now, this is one of the very few plugins that I do believe is actually far superior to the stock plugins inside of Cubasis. The widening plugin inside of Cubasis just doesn't do it for me. But this simple and completely free wider plugin works every single time. And then moving on to the bass guitar, just a channel strip and studio EQ, nothing too fancy. Now, if we go to the guitar group here, you can see again, I'm just using a compressor, nothing too fancy on here, a tightener preset. And then I am using a filter so that I can actually filter in the group of guitars in the beginning. Next up to the guitars, again, just channel strip and studio EQ, very simple mixing in here. The samples are already recorded and mixed really well, so there's just not a whole additional mixing you have to do here. If we go to the FX group, just a channel strip, and pretty much just a channel strip, and that's about it on these FX tracks. So nothing too crazy there. If you look at the mixer here, we can make this full screen and choose XL. Actually, we'll choose small so you can see more of the tracks here. But yeah, nothing too crazy on here. What I do want to show you is the master track now. So let's move on to mastering. Tap on the E to show the effects here. Now you can see I have a real bus, a deep pop max, a bark filter, and a Pro L2. Now the real bus here is basically a tape machine plugin, and I'm using the mastering 30 preset here. This is basically just to glue everything together, give it a little bit more saturation overall. If I go back now, the deep pop max, this is a nice little plugin. I mostly use this just for warmth. Next up is the bark filter. Now, this is actually doing the heavy lifting here because this is using the preset called triple band. And you can see I am using quite a bit of gain here. This really just makes everything nice and pretty. It brings up all the highs, brings up all the lows, makes the lows quiet, makes the very super loud, or rather makes the quiet sounds loud and the loud sounds quiet. Just bringing everything together and kind of just makes everything sound better. You can kind of think of it as the final exciter plugin here. And then beyond that, we just have the limiter. Of course, the classic Pro L2. Can't go wrong with that. And we are using the aggressive preset on here. And that really is about it for the mastering. That is the track, again, in the trap metal genre. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Wow.
Yeah,
that
iPad
looks-
gang, son.
There's so, I mean, it's Cubasis just looks so foreign to me, but just seeing all of that stuff and like, I love the ability to kind of like zoom in and zoom out quickly. So like the fact that it was kind of like just expanding the mixer, shrinking it down and getting some of that stuff out of the way so you can kind of like use the real estate on your iPad is pretty crazy. So also that track, man, what?
Yeah, the track is crazy.
I wanted to come out of left field, man, with that one.
That was I
like
played
that.
I played like a metal beat from like forever ago that I produced a couple episodes ago, a while ago actually. But yo, that is, give it up for Vortex, y'all.
Yo, that's fine.
Woo!
Appreciate you.
That's fine.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was sick. And I was gonna have E go. I was gonna force E to go, but E had a bounce actually.
Oh no.
So he's not gonna share his track. He let me listen to his track, and it was sick. I was excited to play his track.
We can still play it.
Yeah, where he didn't give it to me though.
Oh shit.
So he bounced, and I don't have his track.
Damn.
Okay. So we're gonna have to play it. We might just do like a mid-week episode and just have E play his track. So that was sick. Anyone have questions for Vortex on that?
You got to get my ugly mug off the screen, bro.
Anyone have questions about that track? Good.
Nah, man.
No?
I mean, he explained it well, so everything looks like I should
Got
be getting an
Cubasis.
iPad soon instead of using the iPhone.
There's gonna
And
be so
Cubasis is
I'm
for
about to say Cubasis, yeah.
does work. Yeah, Cubasis does work for the iPhone as well, by the way. Just FYI.
It's just it's small, so it's kind
Yeah.
of hard
Yeah.
to really get into it.
And I feel you on that too. But when I talk to older producers and stuff, they're like, yeah, but we made like Grammy Award winning tracks with a screen the size of a piece of gum on the MPC.
Yeah, pretty much on the MPC.
And so they're just like, so what are you talking to me about right now? So yeah, but I love talking to older producers.
That perspective. Now
Yeah,
you
man.
got like 10 pieces of gum. So
I'm gonna go next. I'm just gonna go. We're doing a volunteer
Yeah.
night, I guess.
Let's go cheap.
So I just wanted to show. So I have some experience with like the whole iPad thing. So I wanted to try something completely different that I haven't tried yet, and this is Bleece. Bleece's Groove Box.
Love that app.
Is kind of what I was messing with this week.
Just real quick, shout out to Bleece because they actually have the only halftime plugin basically on iOS.
Shout out to Bleece. And you had the developer, the main developer, the
Yes, sir.
owner on your roundtable. That's sick. So yeah, shout out to Bleece. Tons of different apps out there. I just was like, you know what I'm looking for is kind of in line with that you shared, which is all about like quickly throwing chords out there and just basically like songwriting hacks, right?
Yeah.
And workarounds. So I'm always looking for something that it's going to just like allow me to choose different chords that I have in my head. So throughout this whole week, I was like, I had this like 3 chords in my head, and I was trying to play around with a musical idea where you keep like the highest tone in your chord kind of stays consistent.
Mhm.
Like put in some different chords that maybe aren't diatonic to that key, right? So I was like, I wanted to play around with that musical idea, but then I ended up just playing with like chords that were in the key
Yep.
at the end of the day. So I'm like, you know what, whatever, these chords sound cool, right? So then I just started messing around with it. So the app is pretty dope. It's on my phone. I just was kind of playing around with like, it allows you to build drums pretty quickly. It allows you to play with quickly and get ideas out. That's what I'm on kind of this like songwriting kick where I just don't care about any other production elements. I just want to get song ideas out, right? So I'm going to play this really quick. This is a minute, and then I'm going to show you what threw it in my DAW afterwards. So let me hit play.
Power.
The shadows.
Power.
So then I just showed like, if you open up the drum pads, like this is how easy it is just to play chords in a specific key, right? We're just in the key of C major.
That's
Nothing
dope.
crazy.
That's dope.
And those presets sound nasty, right? That's just like, that's kind of cool. So that's what
It
I did
sounds
on
like
my
it's got like a tape effect on it.
Yeah, it was. There's, you have to buy it for $10. You get out to use all the effects and stuff. So I was like, all right, we're gonna do that. And then just to kind of show what I did with this, I threw it into my DAW, and I'm like, now I have this groove idea. It almost like feels like a Beck song, almost like kind of
Yeah,
like,
slow
it's-
down.
It's stiff. It's a little stiff, right? It's all quantized, nothing crazy going on. But then I threw it in my DAW, and I'm like, okay, well now I could build on that, right? So I threw on some guitar, right?
Yeah.
cool. So yeah, that
Man,
was
those
the whole-
guitars, man, they made it. They made the whole
That's-
track.
Man, bro.
Love it.
Yeah, and that's kind of like where I've been seeing this thing specifically for me going with iPad and iPhone is like just quick sketches, ideas, and then when I have an idea that I want to play with, now I could throw it to my DAW. Now I could add guitars, I could flesh it out, right? My whole thing recently grooving on these like almost subtle tropical things going on. So just playing around with like different elements of different chords and inversions and stuff like that and making it feel groovy. But that's a song idea now, you know what I mean? And that just all stemmed from me wherever I was throughout the week, opening up Groovebox, playing with those 3 chords, just getting like a groove and then throwing in the DAW and making it into a different thing at the end of the day.
I love it. Sketchpad is a great use. I mean, the biggest 3 use cases outside of actually fully producing in the iPad is a Sketchpad and mobile recording and a sound module.
I'm there already. We're gonna convert everyone else. I mean,
Yeah, we got to convert everybody.
Cheeky, we got to get you to stop using audio as your label in Logic. You gotta label those tracks, man.
this is
Guitar
those-
1, guitar
this is all-
2,
All my
rhythm
track,
guitar.
all my tracks were labeled and colored.
to be completely transparent, that guitar was recorded moments before we went live.
Oh wow,
There you go.
feels so good.
All
Time
right.
to label the pack.
You,
I'm gonna have
you
to get a
see my
guitar
other
pack
tracks?
from Cheeky. I'm gonna have to
Oh,
buy a
yeah,
guitar
man.
pack.
That's right. Hey, who wants to go next? It's a volunteer night here. Who's
I'll
showing
go.
a beat? Grim, stepping up to the plate.
Come out of the
I didn't do a screenshot of the of GarageBand to show you because I dumped all the tracks into Pro Tools. You got to enable me, bro.
Oh yeah,
But,
sorry.
shit.
Transfer the power.
Yes.
The power is transferred.
Yeah, I didn't screenshot it so I could show you, but I dumped everything into Pro Tools. So I played with it on how I set it up in Pro Tools.
You said you started it in GarageBand?
Yeah, and then I stretch the track out and put everything in Pro Tools.
Cool.
Shout out to AirDrop.
Yes,
I just
so
figured that
handy.
out. Oh my god,
dude. And anywhere you are with anybody,
bro,
it's amazing.
amazing. right. So I had the basics. I transferred. I used everything from GarageBand, and as you see, I airdropped everything, so I didn't do no takeouts or nothing. I just did a little bit of mix down. Use a couple of plugins like my favorite RC20, a couple compressions, just to bring it up a little bit, and then that's it, man. I mean, it was fun. Only thing I was mad about, I couldn't transfer the little effects that you have on the pad with GarageBand for your drops and stuff. It was like it sounded crappy when I tried to transfer it over, so I just left it out. But other than that, it was fun, man. My first time actually using a mobile app like GarageBand and try to stretch it out, and the quality was pretty good. So
Awesome.
Sick, Grim. Yo, where did the flutes come from?
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah,
came
I was
from
gonna ask.
GarageBand.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Everything.
Yeah.
Man, those sounds are good. I'm telling you, dude.
Yeah, bro.
GarageBand is fire. People don't know.
Yeah, bro. It's good, bro. So yeah, man. I was surprised, that the sound quality is like that, because I played with a couple of other mobile apps, especially some free ones, and it was like, but
Apple don't mess around, dude.
really pop. Yeah.
Apple don't mess around. Those all the drums, man, the instruments, that sounded great.
Yeah, it popped though. It popped. So yeah, man. That's my track. Any questions?
Good stuff, Grim. I was just wondering what flutes was. That actually sounds pretty
Thanks,
good.
man.
Yeah, that flute was
All
nice.
from the GarageBand. Yeah.
Yep. Garage
Love it.
Beezy.
Yep.
Good stuff, man. And actually, just quick shout out. I'm working on a sample pack, loop pack. We're gonna have some for real flutes on our website pretty soon.
Ooh,
Shout out, man. Tag me, man. I'll definitely retweet that for sure.
Oh my God, we got DC's one of the DC's finest sax players.
Oh, yes.
We're collaborating.
Get some bass clarinet going.
Yo, I'm not even playing. Like, this is gonna be like, if no one buys this thing, that's okay, because we will have the sickest flute around.
Hey,
I'm not even
buying
kidding.
that. I'm
In
definitely
fact,
gonna buy that.
I think one of the loops is gonna be, when the flute players, they start humming with it too, where it's like, and there's like, you could hear the breath and the like that real Yaz flute. Yo, it's gonna be
Wow.
It is
Real
gonna be
organic.
real organic.
Nice.
Yeah, so just shout out Grim. Also, you're gonna be able to use that and create some more fire. Good stuff. Who wants to go next?
Aren't I the only person left? Oh no, the fingers.
Nah,
Fingers.
Oh. Wait, let me go before the fingers. Wait, I'm not going. I'm not going after
Don't do
that.
that.
Nobody wants to go after the fingers.
Wait.
Make sure the fingers goes
Wait a
last
minute.
every time. dude.
No,
I am not.
It's not
I
even
am
like that.
not playing myself.
I'm never going after the fingers.
It's not even like that,
Oh,
man.
you want to go first?
So,
That's why I went first, dude, because I'm not going after the fingers.
Oh man, we need that to be a
okay.
t-shirt.
So,
Don't go
Nobody's
after.
gonna- don't go after
Don't go
the
after the
fingers.
fingers.
What's going on over here, huh?
I'm trying to do this. Hold
Close
on.
all those pages out.
I'm trying to share straight from my tablet because I didn't
We
shoot.
didn't.
You should be able to email or airdrop or something.
Well, hold on.
Oh, you're trying to share the screen.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I don't know how to do
Oh
that.
yeah. You could do that for sure.
Okay.
What did you
Share
use,
screen.
P? What did you use?
I used Koala.
Koala. That's right. Okay, cool.
Shout out to Koala Gang.
Yeah. So it shows P.SO's tablet is here. So
Oh, okay. So that's why that other account is there. Okay.
Exactly.
That's his phone. Cool.
yeah, that's
Or
it.
tablet.
Okay.
Very cool.
Oh, I had to change my settings. Sorry. So
Okay.
now I should be able to do it. Yeah. I see my screen.
Yep.
Oh, okay. You see my
Jersey
screen.
City. It's 30 degrees in Jersey City.
Damn.
Oh.
That's cold. I'm spoiled out here in Vegas.
Man,
I have to make sure like something is muted. Like, it sounds good right now. I'm just saying I heard a little bit of echo. So
Okay.
there it is.
That's because it's coming from both his iPad and his computer.
Yeah. Okay. Do it. Do it.
I'm seeing what I'm doing wrong here. I'm trying to mute myself.
As long as you don't talk, we should be good. Because it's pretty quiet.
Yeah, my bad.
Silence.
Okay, so I'm gonna just switch
Silence.
my mic. Yeah, so I'm using Koala app, and this is just a sample that I mess with. Really, this is just an idea. I didn't get a lot of chance to work on this, and I was just trying to figure the program out. So I'll just play this real quick.
And here we are again.
Here we are.
Does he even know what is going on? P, you're not sharing.
P just stopped.
The share disappeared.
He's rocking though. Look at him.
I think he's listening.
Are you rocking into your? Oh, here we go. Okay, he hears us.
Okay.
We're almost there. There it is. Here we go.
It's loading.
Awesome.
Is it playing? I don't hear it.
Yeah, I don't hear any.
You don't hear it?
No.
Nope.
Might have to just bounce out the wave.
Bounce it, or you could just beatbox it to us and let us know what you had in mind.
It's pretty simply just the three arrow the hamburger menu in the top right hand corner, and then export.
Yeah. The reason I didn't reach it.
I just had to mute him. Okay, and
Well,
like
the fingers.
and like that, it's on. We're on to the fingers, I think.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I might be in this. I'm gonna try. I might be in the same situation now. You got me scared.
No, what happened was
You guys
I
gotta
didn't shoot it
export.
out. I
Oh,
didn't
no.
export because I was trying to use the settings on the app. I was trying to because I practiced. I practiced doing the live stuff with the app, and that was one of the cool things about it. And I wanted to show you how to do that because I
Oh,
always
man.
do it. So I had this whole thing planned out for y'all,
Well,
but I couldn't get the audio. I could export the beat, but
yeah,
it's
It's
way
not the
funner
same as playing it live.
Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
with the
Damn.
live effects I was gonna do.
Damn.
Is it an iPad?
No, it's an Android tablet.
They have
I
it on
don't-
Android as well.
oh, nice.
He recently just did that only a couple of months ago, I think, a few months ago.
I mean, I'll shoot the beat out just to shoot it while the fingers goes.
All right, let me see if this doesn't work, then I'll play it live. I'm gonna try to share similar. Oh no. I think I'm having an issue too. Hold. Am I still here?
Yep.
I think. Oh, okay. I think. Am I sharing?
It says just it did say you were sharing, but it was just like loading. We couldn't see anything.
Now I can hear.
You hear? It's like you hear something.
There we go.
All right.
I see and hear.
That's
now.
not. I hear music, but that's not mine. Let me know if you hear this.
Nope.
No. Okay. So I'll play it and then I'll go over like what I made with it. I'm gonna share from my computer. Let's go to audio.
I see. To avoid all these problems, I just pre-recorded.
Which I actually like that.
I didn't want to have any issues. I just like pre-recorded
Never know.
myself and edited it and everything.
All right. Let me know if you hear this.
Nope.
Nope. I might have to leave and come back. Hold on. Let me stop share. I'm not sharing audio.
Well, we did hear.
If
3
only
beats
we had.
today.
You heard 3 beats later.
Yeah, we heard 3. We filled the podcast.
Can I share this? Is that the beat? Or is it share that? Can you hear this? No, I think I got to sign out and sign back in. All right, let me leave and come back, and then if that doesn't work, I think I sent it to you, Cheeky. You can play it. But give me 1 second. Let me leave and come back.
Okay. And then while we're doing that, we're gonna give P another chance. One more chance.
He could actually
that'd
like
be-
record his effects, the effects that he plays. And then record that into an audio. We just wouldn't be able to see him play those effects though. But we could hear it though if he recorded it.
Ooh, I do
think
have.
for the
I do have the
future,
fingers
some
beat.
of these apps is going to have to make it more accessible to share, especially mobile.
It's tough when you're trying to go from a separate device and then with your computer. Whenever you try to go bridge those two things, it's
It gets weird.
yeah.
I know you see that, but I don't think you'll hear that. Okay. And for some reason, the audio.
You know what? The thing is,
What's up?
sharing from an iPad. I've seen this before that that says share audio is like hidden. It's like super small somewhere, like in the bottom left corner or the bottom right corner.
That's why I'm trying to figure out why it's not even sharing it won't share this guy. I think I have to upgrade something, but I'm not going to do that now.
Okay, I got
but
you.
I said, yeah, you can go ahead and play it, and then I'll go over how I made it. Stop. Hold on, I got to stop.
Okay. 1 second. Here we go. Jumping in, and I'm gonna play the beat. Here's the fingers. Here we go.
There it is.
The fingers on the beat.
Woo!
That 808 didn't want to shut up.
Yeah, I recognize that sample anywhere. That's from Midnight, bro. That's from the Midnight sample.
That's from the Midnight Pack. I'm gonna I'm
Yeah.
gonna try one more. Let me see.
I used that sample in a
God.
video, so I
Did you?
so I definitely know that sample.
Can I mute this? Hold on, I'm getting some weird stuff too. So for I want to mute my microphone here. For those who are you getting an echo?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's manageable. Keep going.
It's manageable. Nah, we're not gonna do manageable. We're going. I'm gonna share my screen with just a visual, so you won't hear the audio. But for those who don't know, I actually did a sample pack with Vortex and Mobile Music Pro last year. Actually, I actually met him in Vegas last year while visiting out there, and had a nice chat over some nice pancakes out there. And I'm definitely trying to get back out there, hopefully a couple times this year. So yeah, I made a sample pack, and it is called Midnight. I don't have the website up, but it's called Midnight, and I think it had 15, 20 loops. And so this is one of the loops from in there. It's called the loop is called No Names, and I just chopped that up here in Beatmaker 3. I haven't used Beatmaker 3. I've probably done 2 beats. This is the second beat in probably about 6 months on Beatmaker 3, just because I've been doing a lot of orchestral stuff on the desktop. But I used a sample called No Names, from the pack, and just chopped it up here in Beatmaker 3. It's only like 6 or 7 tracks here. So starting with the sample, it's really easy to do in Beatmaker 3. I won't go over the whole chopping up, but it's really, you load a sample up. You can use a slice here at the top right, and it'll auto slice it, or it'll do some detective modes and chop it up, and then you can pitch shift it. So I pitched it down. If you see this tune here, I pitched it down 2 semitones, and did some affecting to the EQ to take out some of the low end. and adjusted some of the attack and stuff in there. And then I duplicated that track so that the second time at bar 17 when it comes around, that's when I have, you might have heard Vortex mention earlier, some slow machine. Shout out to Bless. I don't know how to say it. Bless. I always say Bless. But that's where it'll take the sample and it'll just cut it in half, basically almost similar to what Halftime does on desktop. But I think it's a little bit more powerful than Halftime. And then I also have the delay from Bleece, and then the stock Beatmaker 3 EQ, just cutting off more of the low end on the pitch down version. And then I just have piano from Ravenscroft 275, probably one of my favorite pianos on the iPad. And I have a bunch of presets, and I don't know if I released it to the world yet, but I'm using one of my delay presets in there. And then I have, I'll come back to the 808 because that's probably my favorite 808 ever. Clev Grand makes some incredible drum and percussion plugins for both desktop and iOS. So I use Slammer. So some of those drum fills that you heard in the beat, like some of those snare hits, are just basically these percussion random sounds that are in Slammer. Clev Grand has some incredible stuff. They have a new app on the way. They're probably going to kill me for saying that. That's also awesome. Percussion stuff in there. Exclusive. And then the drums. For the drums, I'm using, I made this beat at about 7. I started at about 7:15, and I had to get to a online screening at 8, and I started making the beat, and then Beatmaker 3 crashed, and it was about 7:30. So, and I was like basically done with the beat. I just had to sequence it. So I had to start again at 7:30, and for about 20 minutes. And so I went to my go-to drums, which is old kit from Cardiac, Flatline Kits. I have one of his what is it? His kick from the TC, the Clinic kick, a kit called the Clinic 2, the snare, and then I have another snare layered on top of that. I also have my favorite reverse cymbal from a S1 kit called the Reverse Cymbal from Stand Tall, which is one of his songs that he produced. Then, of course, I have the Mobile Music Pro closed hat, and then the open hat from whatever kit that is. The abbreviation threw me off. Expansion, maybe something P2.
Yeah, number 2, EP2. Yeah, that's the second. Yep, the second Essentials pack.
So not a lot going on, and just got a vibe. So finally, the 808, my favorite 808. I really want Audio Kit to make this on desktop. This is basically an 808 builder, and I was able to make a lot of presets for this. So I put in my No Secrets preset from the Audio Kit 808. But you can go in there, you can basically build your own 808s and save them as presets. There's a lot of functionality in here where I don't really see why you would ever need another 808 plugin ever again. The only thing is I would need this on the desktop. But like I said, there's ways to plug your iPad up to the desktop and get things going there. But I use that as the 808. And again, I don't think I can go into processing. My 808 channel strip is adapted from an old Henny the Business video from YouTube. Where he has some of these plugins. Beef is a new one. I didn't have it on this beat, but Saturator from Beatmaker 3, FAC makes some great effects plugins. So I have Transient, Low Fly Dirt from MSX, who also makes some great sample packs and plugins. I have that on the 808. I have Haze 2, which is a stereo like widener on the low end, going into a tape emulation from Clev Grand again, and then some compression and EQ from the stock Beatmaker 3. That is the 808 thing. I have some drum stuff going on. FAC Transient, another FAC like enhancer for drums, Maxima, Low Fly Dirt, and then Beef. It's just a bunch of compression and saturation on the drums. And then the sample just has the delay, and then the master track has a bunch of stuff that maybe one day, I don't know if you want me to go into that, but there's a lot of stuff on the master that it's not even showing up right now for some reason. But there it is.
Yo, this is sick. And first off, how many you're only rocking with 5 tracks here?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks. I duplicated, so you could say 5, but I duplicated the sample, so I had the pitch down. But 6 tracks, and yeah, I had to make it quick. And drums are layered, so if you want to count the drums, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drums on top of that if they were separate tracks.
And you're is that a harp that I heard? Is that
so no, that's in the sample is actually a sound that sounds like a harp. But it was just built into the sample. So the strings, from what I remember, the strings, the Actually, let me find the sample. I can just play the sample.
These are all such legit chains, Marcus. Like the chain, your melody chain, your master chain. These are all freaking legit chains.
The legit chains. Let me find that sample because that sample was probably one of my favorite samples in the pack. Did I stop sharing?
Yeah.
I'm always sharing. Oh, that's right. My audio doesn't work. So I don't think it'll share. But the No Name sample had I think strings. It might even had a piano in there, but I added piano on top of it. And then like a harp sound in there. But yeah, definitely check out the pack.
Yeah, you got to check out the pack because there's tons of piano and string.
Midnight,
and
right?
yeah, mobilemusicpro.com/midnight. And it's a fantastic pack. Like the pianos in there are just so great because it's the fingers, so he's going to have amazing keys. But they're just really, really, really inspiring. Like I just don't understand how an artist could like look at that and did not just flow out an entire freaking song. Like every one of those melodies, I guarantee you give to any artist and they would just flow right out with a huge thing of lyrics because it's so inspiring. I just have no other word for it.
So I have a couple questions. Why would you want to put a stereo on? Is that I'm always like of the mindset that like the 808 should be like down the center, right? Am I wrong?
There is no right or wrong. Like sometimes I want it in the center, sometimes I want it like on the sides. This is a template I have in Beatmaker 3 where I start my beats, especially if I'm in a rush. I just load the template. So I didn't even adjust anything on the channel strip, and I rarely bring in the width on the iPad. On the desktop, I really don't mess with 808 widening at all. But for some reason on the iPad, I just leave it like that, and sounds great. Maybe it leaves room in the center for like the kick, or if you had vocals on there. But usually, most people keep the bass frequency stuff straight up and down in the middle.
Right.
And it really depends on genres too, and the feeling of the track. So for like a lot of hip hop stuff and 808 heavily driven stuff, I've talked to a lot of producers and they like to keep it stereo. They like their 808s mostly wide. But then if you talk to like rock producers and drum producers, they make sure to always keep their bass just right in this mono, pretty much. So yeah, it all depends on. Yeah.
I'm is advanced on the whole mixing thing or whatever, but that's kind of like one of those habits that have like always stuck there, like keep those 808s in the middle. What about the glides though on the 808? Well, how is that being
same. So that is
that's the app.
Did I stop sharing? That's the app. So that let me share that app one more time.
On the app you can adjust the glide that you'd like to have on there.
There you go.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so the thing about their apps is AudioKit. This is one of the apps they keep in the vault. So can you see my screen? No.
It's loading. There it goes.
Okay. So there is on this screen, what am I at? I'm at 0.33 seconds. So this thing that's turning right now, that's the glide. So there's a function built into the app there that you can adjust the time based on like the beat, how long you want for the glide to go up or down when you're holding two different notes down. The thing about the AudioKit apps, I believe this is one that they take in and out of their vault. So when it's in the vault, at least it used to be the highest price that an app can be in the App Store, which was like $999 or something crazy like that. When they take it out the vault, it's like $4 or whatever. So
they wanted to make it limited edition, and that was the only way to make it limited edition was to just raise the price because a limited edition feature wasn't built into the App Store. So in order to make it limited, they just raised the price.
Yep. So I don't know if it's in the vault right now or if it's out, but definitely when it's out.
When they take it out, when they make it available, it's $3, just like the rest of their apps. So, but this is basically a drum synth. This is basically like a drum synth, a full synthesizer that's specifically designed for creating sub bass and basses. So,
and how do you mimic that effect? I more and more music, all the glides, the 808. How do you do that in a DAW? Do you do the same type of thing with similar plugin?
It's really all in the plugin. If the plugin supports glide, then you simply put your notes over the top of each other.
And then it'll go from first note to second note.
And then it'll go
overlap it.
Yep. Just overlap.
There's no in a plugin like this, there is no what's called polyphony for those who don't know, meaning you can't play. It's monophonic, meaning it'll play one sound at a time. Some apps have the option where you can choose polyphonic or monophonic. This one is just monophonic because it's an 808, so you rarely want to play two 808 sounds at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
So when you hold down two notes, you want to play one and then play the second one a little bit after or however long after in the timing of the beat, and then adjust the glide time, and then you'll get that sliding effect.
So you just put the notes next to each other instead of over each other, and
Yep.
then it'll glide to the next note based on your glide settings there.
Well,
Wow.
you're gonna have to call me Mr. Glide because I'm gonna have to start using that all the
Mr.
time.
I actually have a video. Literally, check this out. You gotta go check it out. I have a video, Cheeky, how to make your 808 slide. I literally have a video on that on my channel, how to make your 808 slide. And I show 4 or 5 different ways on the iPad inside of Cubasis to make your 808
Slide to the left. Slide.
I was thinking
right.
slide some oil to me.
slide into the
Yeah.
DM.
Listen to that old
Slide in the DMs.
70s funk joint. Slide.
Um,
Ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding. All right, sorry. All right, we got a track from P. Here we go.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
go. The fingers, as always.
let's go.
Snaps.
Airdrop.
This is
One
so this just real quick, guys. This beat didn't, my firstborn is due this week, so I haven't had any
That's
time.
right.
So I had to just play around this app and just try to get it in as quickly as possible. So I didn't have a lot of time. I sampled a little quick sample, flipped it, finger banged some drums out. Sorry, that
Finger
sounded
bang.
sexual.
You finger
banged
drummed
some
it.
drum.
But man, South Park.
And then just and then I literally just recorded this a minute ago. I tried to mess around with the live effects because that's what I wanted to show y'all.
Yeah.
On Koala, how you could kind of it has a perform function where you can do this cool live stuff. But
So this is your firstborn koala beat right here.
yeah.
And also, real quick, just so you guys know, that app that he's describing, the Koala Effects app, there's also a Koala Effects that's just the effects part of that app that you can put into your mobile DAW and use the effects and live in your DAW as well.
That is brilliant because I found it's very easy to mess around with the live performance features. So now that you told me that, I can definitely use that on my beats. And I also see that Koala interacts with Ableton. You can shoot out your Koala stems as an Ableton session and drag it right into Ableton and just keep going. So
Absolutely.
You guys created a monster with this one.
And were they originally trying to mimic like the SP404? Was that their?
They were
whole
pretty
thing,
much,
or
that was
no?
their goal, is to kind of like, I think that was his goal, was to make something more accessible than an SP4 because obviously it's multiple hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So he wanted to create something simple like that, but available for everybody. So.
And I think there is an update, right? I heard someone say that they're doing like an update this week. Or
I'm not sure about this up, but he's always updating that app.
Yeah.
Koala is always. That's literally the only app that he works on. Merrick is the name of the developer. Merrick, and that's all he works on is Koala.
Wow. All right, here we go,
Wow.
P. Here's your track.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You can bring that into
Um,
the DAW and make a whole song on it.
Right. I mean, it definitely needs to be quantized. And, I couldn't, there's a lot of things that I normally do on my beats that I wasn't able to do on that just because I didn't have the option to it. But as an idea, as a starting point, it's cool to have Koala because you can record all types of things with it, like live. You can record your voice making a kick drum if you want, or some in ambient sounds. And just it's just really, the workflow is very fast. I do really wish they had a quantized feature on it. I don't know if it does, but
Well, what's great is if you use it inside of a DAW, like a mobile DAW like Cubasis, you can just use the DAWs quantized too.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, listen, man, you are very you're pushing this whole Cubasis thing pretty hard to us. And it sounded like something that we should all definitely check out. especially with the iPad Pro. It seems like just like DeFinger said, we'd be able to do like 99% of the stuff that we do on our regular DAWs with this.
Yo,
So
and you could hear all the different effects you're using there, P.
yeah, I was messing around with it. I
Phaser,
was
you had
talking
the
with
stutter
Shaw while
thing
I was
going
doing
on.
it. Yeah, I was trying to get it, but you guys know how I love to do live stuff. So
Yeah, this is totally up your alley, man.
right, I
Absolutely.
know. So adding this to Ableton might be really fun, especially with performance. So yeah, thank y'all for that.
And yo, good stuff. And this week I was messing with Koala too, and just the sampling function. I was sampling all around the house. And
Mhm.
I got my son. You ready? Listen to this.
JMO.
That's
He
him
said
saying-
three.
He said
I was about to
baby.
say.
He said
I
baby
thought
bear.
3B.
it sounded kind of like you said 3 beats later. That's what I heard. I heard 3 beats later.
3 beats later. So that's coming soon.
Yes.
That's what I heard.
The secret sauce in that app is the effects. I mean, that's the secret sauce. That's why everybody loves that app.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
It's the effects, the live, the able to just make them so easily.
Mm-hmm.
That's the next drop we're gonna get on this joint. Okay. Well, we went way over, but it was worth it. So many gems. This was a fun hang. You know, Vortex, you're always welcome back. You know,
Yo, Vortex,
Appreciate
I'm
you.
demanding that you come back.
Yes.
Appreciate
Demanding
you.
that you come back.
Anytime, man.
Episode.
Anytime.
if you
Anytime you guys will have
do
me.
a crossover episode or whatever, or roundtable where you talk to producers, we're happy to help out with whatever you're working
Oh,
on.
absolutely. I definitely would like to have you guys on the roundtable at some point for sure.
And then I'll do this again for sure. And for all of those producers out there who have yet to open up their iPad and download a music making app, look at this man right now. He's showing you his studio, and the iPad is central
Studio's
to it.
iPad.
Center stage.
We already talked about today. We talked about GarageBand. We talked about Bleece. We talked about Koala. We talked about Beatmaker 3. These are all easy ways to just download something and start creating, especially if you're a seasoned producer and you just have yet to really do it. You know, if you're taking flights here, you're on the train, whatever.
Yep.
There you go. You can make music on the go, and you
No
can
excuse. No
No
excuses.
excuse.
It could be very.
I
high
remember
quality
getting on
stuff
the
too.
Amtrak with my MP dude and some headphones. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like the first portable music system, sort of,
Bro.
you know?
And Amtrak had a power plug, so I would just sit there with my MP like, this is nuts.
That's freaking awesome.
Oh man,
Big machine.
that's
Come on.
Pow.
power right there. All right, y'all. Next week we have again Excalibur coming through. He is going to talk about sync licensing. We're going to learn even more about sync licensing, about trying to get your music on the Real Housewives of wherever. And actually, yo, you know what's funny? This is actually pretty dope. I have to show this. I mean, we're already over overtime already. So X has this video that's talking about like what he thinks is going to be the new wave when it comes to sync licensing music that's chosen for reality TV. And where is it? I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. Shoot.
So much money in sync licensing.
It's crazy. It is crazy. Do you do sync Vortex?
I do not, but I've definitely talked to a couple producers who do, and they are, they're having a good time. It's definitely decent money, and it's some people really find it like their niche. They really enjoy it, even making more than like working with artists and stuff. So there's definitely a whole vibe there that people are taking advantage of.
Yeah, that is the 1% that I was talking about earlier when I said I stopped using the iPad, is because of the orchestral cinematic stuff, which isn't there yet on the iPad. You can do a lot. There's some great string libraries, but it's not there yet as far as
we're still waiting for Spitfire.
Top of the line.
We're still waiting for Spitfire.
They're on there, but you have to buy like $1,000 app called StaffPad.
Oh wow!
And all the in-app purchases is crazy. Yeah, so the StaffPad has all of those high-end string libraries that need to come in
on the iPad.
On the iPad.
Wow. Okay. I didn't even know they were available on the iPad. Okay.
Yeah. So check that out. But it's a investment for that, and you have to have like the 100 terabyte iPad version, top of the line. But it's the libraries are there. They're just in this one app, and it needs to come over to these other apps. But check out StaffPad when you get a chance. I haven't looked it up recently, but when I was like doing research on like orchestral libraries on the iPad, that one kept coming up. But then they were like, yeah, you have to basically really want to do this to invest into that.
And that's the 1%. I would agree. That's like the one thing, the 1% I would say that like the iPad's not quite ready for it is full on orchestral stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
But you can get pretty far.
You can get pretty far. There's iSymphonic. There's I mean, Apple has some of the highest quality sample loops for sounds in GarageBand. I mean, they're a, what, $2-3 trillion company, so they can afford it. So those loops, if you remember, the beat, was it Grimm that played the beat? The flutes in there like sounded like a flute, like a flute.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it was a flute player, but they have some of the best like samples. So, you know, there's some great string samples and loops in there, and even their built-in string organizer where you can like play the violin on the iPad and choose chords and notes and do like riffs and things.
Well, now with audio modeling, they're beating Spitfire to the punch a little bit.
Yeah, Swam. We didn't even talk about them. I really like I've used their stuff actually on Logic, connecting the iPad to Logic for just some like really, really nice orchestral stuff. And I think Jordan Rudess was part of that development.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's a lot. Cheeky, we're trying to give you time here, man.
I can't find
like,
it.
what were you? Is it on his YouTube? Or are you looking for?
I'll just describe it. So real quick, back to next guest. So X talks about the future of sync for reality TV. They're kind of like always 2 or 3 years behind what's hot today, right? So he has a video. I'll try to share it after the show, where he talks about just the idea of what is called dramedy, right? It's like a type of music that is used during like an awkward scene in reality TV. So his kind of like suggesting that if you use the hottest style of beat today and you inject it over that type of like dramedy, like boom, 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 not a lot of like, there's some dialogue and then somebody does some dumb shit and it's like boom, 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 boom. You know, it's kind of like weird stuff, weird music that you hear during any reality TV show. But then if you inject like maybe like a trap beat, or he was suggesting drill music, that would be picked up in like a year, because they're catching up to the wave what's hot today, right? So that's actually our challenge for the next week, is to make a beat that you would be considered like dramedy for reality TV, and then inject a new style to it. His suggestion was meld together drill and dramedy, right? Drillmedy. So that's like our challenge.
Drillmedy.
Me personally, I can't even distinguish what drill is, other than like, I guess extra aggressive trap. Maybe I don't even know how you define drill, but
we got how to make a drill song on the channel.
You do?
Okay, how to make a drill beat.
What's that? So that's our challenge, and it's in line with exactly what I talk about. Hey, Cheeky, scroll down this page really quick. Okay. 1 second, let me get to it. Here we go.
One of the best pieces of advice I can give to any musician trying to get
their
music placed on TV
as I
is
said,
understand.
oh, isn't it? Is that the one? That might be it. Play that. Okay, here we go.
That music for television is about 1 to 2 years behind the current sound. So let's say you're a drill producer. Take those drums that you make for drill and fuse it with the different genres in television. Now, it's going to take a separate video for me to really break down the different genres within TV, but one of the most popular ones that you hear, especially for reality TV, is dramedy.
Meeting Nicole, there was some awkwardness.
Dramedy is a type of music genre used for TV and film. It's really made to enhance the awkwardness, funniness, the lightheartedness in a TV show. So you're probably wondering, how do I turn that into a drill track? Here's an example of some pizzicato strings added on top of some drill drums to show you how you can turn the most current sound into a TV placement.
Whoa.
Now that's just one genre within TV. You can do this with any style of music you have. What style of music do you make?
Wow, there it was. There's
genius. That's interesting.
That's what I saw. That I was like, that would be fun. And then Axel was like, yeah, let's do it. So that's what we have to create.
Beautiful.
Drillmedy.
Drillmedy.
All right. All right, Vortex. Thank you so much. Everybody, make sure you go to Mobile Music, follow on YouTube.
Enter the
Also,
contest. Win you some money.
Yes,
exactly. Enter that contest March 2nd. That metal coming out. Get the metal pack, create a beat, submit it. You have until the 22nd of March, and you can win some money. And then, yeah, anything else? Vortex, any last words?
I think that's about it. Just shout out to all you guys. Putting on a show every week. It's not easy putting out all this content. And we're doing it we don't get paid to do this. We're doing this for you guys, for the producers. So definitely make sure you follow everybody here. Make sure you check out their content, check out their music. Because this is all for you. It's all for you guys.
All right. On that note, everybody have a great rest of the week. Peace. Thanks a lot.
Thank you guys.